Hello, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are in the world right now. Welcome in to the Formula One Grand Prix. We are just moments away. Then, due to be 25 minutes, but due to a crash in the Ferrari Challenge Japan race supporting the Formula One Grand Prix, the race start has been delayed to 10 minutes past 2 local time. Here in Australia, it will be 10 minutes past 4. So formation lap will get underway at 10 past 2, meaning we have plenty of time. As we now hand it up to Sky Sports F1, as we run through your build-up to today's Grand Prix.
But he's done an exceptional job. Back-to-back poles is very special.
Yeah, Toto's faith in him has been absolutely justified. Okay, if this is the first time you're joining us this weekend, then here's a little recap of what happened yesterday in qualifying.
Welcome along to qualifying here in Suzuka. Charles Leclerc could be about to go fastest and does so by a tenth of a second. Ollie Behrman is, I think he's out qualifying, looking at his times there, and it's kind of as expected, except for Ollie Behrman. That's the big shock from the first part of qualifying. Here comes Verstappen then, gets to the line, but only goes ninth fastest. And what a lap from Arvid Lindblad, who's knocked Max Verstappen out of the top 10.
Come on, man, that's got to be a good one.
I think it's something good for the car makers. Completely unpractical.
As Kimi Antonelli coming around the final corner, takes the shortest route to the line. We're into the 128 for provisional pole. Chase that one, everybody. And George Russell can't get 3/10 down on his teammate. They're not all improving out there. And George Russell hasn't managed it. He ends up 4/10 down. Charles Leclerc goes fastest in the first sector. That's where the challenge to Antonelli is going to come from.
Oh, no, big step focus there. Oh, that's the time goal.
Charles Leclerc P4. Kimi Antonelli has done it again.
Nice work, Kimi. Pole position, mate.
Let's go, man. What?
So here is your grid for the race today. It's the first Mercedes front row lockout here in Suzuka since 2018. Piastri with McLaren's best qualifying performance of the year so far in third, and then it's Ferrari Charles Leclerc, followed by Lando Norris in P5. Four-time winner here, Lewis Hamilton, is in sixth, followed by Gasly and Hadjar. Then is Bortoletto and Lindblad in 9th and 10th. Four consecutive poles here for Max Verstappen. He starts today, though, outside of the top 10 in 11th. And then comes the Haas of Esteban Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg's in P13, followed by Lawson, Colapinto and Sainz. Alex Albon's frustrations continue as he has to settle for starting in 17th. Disappointment too for Ollie Behrman, considering his form so far this season. The two Aston Martins down in 21st and 22nd behind the Cadillacs. Okay, let's head down the grid where I think we can find Karun and Rachel.
Yes, welcome to the middle of the grid, Karun Chandler, because that's where we've had to come to find Max Verstappen's car. Just help us understand what he's talking about when he says it's undrivable, because there's so much going on.
Yeah, I think they're really struggling with the chassis. You know, they're struggling to get performance out of the chassis. Max, we know, doesn't like it when the car's front end isn't sharp, doesn't rotate as well. And there seems to be a disconnect. You know, they've got this issue where you've got entry, the rear of the car seems a bit unstable, then it goes into an understeer. So they've got an imbalance, it seems, on both sides. So it's just a fundamental balance issue. It's ironical, right? Because there was so much talk about the fact that they've got a new power unit. They're going to be a new power unit manufacturer. That bit seems to be doing okay. It's not. It's probably not a Mercedes, but it's not far away. So yeah, they've got a bit of a journey trying to understand where the problem is.
Yeah, in China, he said they turned the car upside down and went through everything, and it still didn't make it any better. No one has got on the podium this far back on the grid for 20 years at this circuit. It's going to be tough. But the man who kicked him out, what a lap from Arvid Lindblad.
Yeah, great lap from him. You know, I think he's done a great job so far in Melbourne, and yeah, he had a little bit of a difficult time in China. He got caught up in some incidents, but obviously he was on the back foot, having this practice as well. You can see the mechanics section have all run up. That's a universal sign for the cars are nearly here. So what happens is the cars come to the back of the grid, they get put onto little trolleys and then wheeled down. Back in the day, they used to drive down the grid. There's various mechanics and VIPs whose ankles still have the scars of the cars, you know, nicking them on the way down. So now they get parked up the top and they get pushed down. So we'll see at some point they pop down. Let's see, a bit of prep happening here on the Red Bull side of the grid. This is Max Verstappen's garage.
These trolleys, what's in them?
Well, I said garage, it's not a garage, right? It's stuff they bring to the grid.
Grid spot.
Grid spot, yes. What's in them? Well,
We
should we
could
go on the
actually go
back?
and have a look, because I can
Let's
see
go on the back. I see umbrellas. I
shade
see
today.
Yeah, the batteries. You got the cooling fans that will go into it as well. The tires are ready in here in the blankets, ready to go.
Drinks cooler.
We're trying to work out what's in your trolleys. Not going to tell us.
Generators.
More generators.
And umbrellas. Dry ice.
Dry ice. It's not a drinks cabinet after all. Here we've got Arvid Lindblad's car, Kareem.
That livery looks great, doesn't it?
Fantastic.
I
Really,
think
really
they-
good.
I wish they keep it. I wish they keep it for the season. It's such a great livery. Let's see as he comes up into his grid spot here. The mechanics, as they wheel him along on the
This
trolley.
fascinates me as well. This is more detail. I know there's very little they can do, but they're all trying to find ways on the edge of the barge boards of ways to try and maximise this year.
Yeah, the regulations have tightened up various areas of the car, but there's clearly still differences that we can see, because that's why one car's at the front, one's not. Speaking of the front, here comes the bald man there, Kimi Antonelli, being wheeled down. I see he's gone for the wolf look helmet as well. George Russell
indeed.
following it up. Let's talk about George for a minute, actually, because he talked about a setup change that he made to the car yesterday. They stiffened up the rear of the car, which is something, to be honest, they do quite often. Mercedes do it quite often, and George does it quite often. But for some reason, it created a big imbalance with the rear stability, and he just couldn't lean on the rear of the car on those higher speed, longer corners, he felt. They kept dialing front wing out of it to compensate, but then you're into sort of band-aiding territory, right? You're fundamentally, as a driver, you've taken away some confidence, and then you're just trying to fix it. So he was always behind in qualifying.
And it's the second race in a row, because obviously he felt that way in China in Q3 when he had a couple of issues there. Isaac Hadjar, first time Max Verstappen's been out qualified this decade at this circuit.
That's an incredible start.
It is. I mean, we didn't have a race in 20 and 21, so
Sure.
this was literally the last 4 years. But he has done better than all the previous opponents, or previous teammates, I should say, that Max has had in his first 3 races with this team.
Yeah, I mean, Max is obviously exceptional around here, 4 poles in a row. So I think he'll take a lot of confidence from that, because you look at Melbourne as well. He qualified in the top 3 there. So, yeah, I think he'd be very happy with that.
You know Pierre Gasly, how is he getting so much out of this Alpine right now? I know they've got the Mercedes engine, but he just seems to get out there and absolutely maximise it every weekend this year.
Yeah, here's Charles Leclerc coming around like it's
Still climbing out of the car.
it's like one of those parades you have
It
in the
is,
city.
it's like
isn't
he's
it?
standing at the front of the parade, isn't it? And he's up there on a high pedestal.
Yeah. I think, Gasly, just going back to your point, I think he's kind of gone under the radar. We should all be talking about him much more. He's done an exceptional job, both in China and again here in qualifying. He should be well placed for more points. It's a driver who's, we know, in his post-Red Bull era, has really come on strong, particularly qualifying, and he's doing it again.
If you're wondering why we've got quite a few spaces on the grid, we are actually running 10 minutes behind here today. There was some damage to some barriers in a support race earlier on around turn 12, and so they're still repairing that. So there's a 10-minute delay to the formation lap, so we're a little bit behind the usual schedule today, but as the cars come down here, yes, we talked about Pierre. We've got Lewis coming up behind us now. We've got the cast of the Super Mario film coming up. They've been in the garage. He's got friends here this weekend. He wasn't smiling as much yesterday. He's still enjoying this car, but it's been a tricky one for him this weekend.
Yeah, in China, he looked at Max for Charles all the way through it, anything a bit quicker than Charles. But all through this weekend, I'd say he's looked a bit behind. He's looked somewhere between 1 and 3 tenths behind, depending on the run, depending on the set of tyres. So it has been a bit more of a challenge for him. I'd like to see, as we go forward around the circuit, how that trend plays out. Because last year we saw in China, he was quicker than Charles. In Melbourne, he was a match for Charles, but then for the rest of the season, he wasn't. So let's see if this is a repeat of last year or if Lewis is genuinely better in these cars.
He did say to me that on Friday that he thought he had a North Star, so he knew they had a direction to go in, which is something they didn't necessarily have last year. So he is feeling more confident on that front. Lando Norris been out qualified now 3-0 by his teammate Oscar Piastri, and he's coming out here. We've got let's have a look around. We've got Oscar coming up here. Should we try and grab a quick word with Oscar?
Well, I think he's been grabbed by
Viaplay, so
and he's
off on
scooting
his
off.
scooter.
So is Max Verstappen.
Yeah, so just talking about this, Oscar's obviously come out of the box firing, hasn't he? Let's see if we can grab a quick word with Lando as he comes up.
Lando Norris, go on. Should we see if he's able to chat?
I will. I'm just letting him finish chatting at the moment. And he'll come over. Just getting sorted out with his trainer. As I was saying though, I mean, for him it's been... Sorry, just chatting to his press officer who says talk to him as he's leaving the grid, which is what Will will do. His head's scratching a little bit at the moment, isn't he? Oscar seems to be a little bit more settled with his car, but it's his best start of the year, and for Oscar, it's McLaren's best start of the year in P3.
Well, let's try and... Are you going to try and grab a word
I'm
from
going to try
him?
and grab a word.
Okay, go on. You've got... I feel like you've got a chance here, Rachel. You're in prime position for
He's
where
usually
he heads off the
eating
gate.
because he's eating
Right.
something as he
Go
goes.
on.
Can I grab... Oh, he's going in to speak to Will. I'm not going to interrupt that because that will be important procedures for the start and a few last-minute reminders of what he needs to do
It's
to get
really
this car all
fun.
spooled
Yeah.
up and ready.
Absolutely. Here we go.
Lando, can I grab a quick word as you walk off? How are you feeling today? I know looks a bit closer to the Ferraris, the gap. I know you're in P5, but can you do something today in the race and get ahead of them? Stay ahead?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. Obviously, I would like to get ahead of one more. I mean, I believe we're closer to being on par with...
That way. That's all right. Garage is right at the end this year.
Yeah, we're a bit closer this weekend, so we want to give it a good shot. We'll see how the race pace is. I've not done any high field, so I have no idea. So I'll be finding out today, but the pace is there, so we'll give it. Yeah, we'll do it with our best.
Great stuff, thanks Lando. And the good news is, Karun, is that he's starting the race because this time at the last race, his car was in the garage and he didn't get out. And it looks like, Karun, all the cars are out on the grid this time, which is great.
That is great news. Gabby Bortoletto, I can see scooting off to the top of the pit lane here. We've got the movie stars from the new Mario Bros movie here. Anya Taylor-Joy's here. Chris Pratt, I can see.
Pratt.
Well, I'm sure
We'll
that
hear from them
Jensen
shortly,
and
hopefully, yes.
Jensen and Nass will try and grab them later because they're on the way to the front of the grid. Here's the '96 World Champion, 30th anniversary of him winning the World Championship here in Japan.
Shall I see if I can grab a quick word with Fred Vasseur? Try and duck out of somebody's photo on the way around. I'll see if I can get a very quick word with Fred and see if he's happy to talk. Any chance of a quick word? No. Busy times at the moment. Ferrari, Fred Vasseur listening on the team radio right now. Worth hanging around just to see, Karun, if we can possibly get a word with him there.
I'd like to see if someone from Mercedes is around, because I'm interested to know, obviously, George, we talked about the change he made to the car, and you know, he's now locked into that for the race with the park permit regulation. Do they think that is going to hamper him in terms of race pace, or maybe with a slower pace? Will it be a bit better? Let's try and
get a
grab.
word with Zach.
Yeah,
You go in and try and get a word with Zach.
Okay. Zach, how you doing? So, good qualifying for Oscar, into the top three. How concerned are you about the Ferrari start, and if they get in front, can you get back at them?
Their starts are great. Our starts are very good. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting first couple laps from what we've seen. I think we can have a good battle today with the Ferrari. I think Mercedes, all things being equal, are going to be out of reach for all of us. But let's see. You never know what happens in this race. And Lando's also done a great job given the challenges he's done over the weekend. And Oscar's been on his A game, which is not unusual for him.
How much are you crossing your fingers? Because Lando's had reliability issues this weekend, and as you said, both in FP2 and 3. How much are you all sitting there crossing your fingers?
Yeah, you know, it's a concern, right? You know, if you look at the start of the season, we've had quite a bit reliability issues. but you know, we put the car together as well as possible. I got a lot of belief in the men and women at McLaren. Hopefully, our the batteries, which have been challenging, but these new regulations, this technology is very young and it'll just develop. So hopefully, we can just have a clean race today.
And finally, you seem a bit closer to Mercedes this weekend. Is that, is this a trend we're going to see? Are you going to be able to catch them?
I think we'll be able to catch them. I don't think we're going to necessarily be able to catch them today, but if you look at the development that all the men and women at McLaren have done the last couple of years, they've done an unbelievable job. So I got a lot of faith in our racing team that will be battling at the sharp end here, which we're not far off, here pretty soon.
Yeah, you've got a queue waiting. I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you.
Crew, let's go to Kimi Antonelli's car, because importantly, he could be the first driver to win 2 Grand Prix as a teenager. And if he wins today, Karun, he will be the youngest ever Drivers' Championship leader. So there's an awful lot of incentive for him today.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's done a stellar job all weekend. He's not looked ruffled at all, has he? We haven't seen, we've seen lots of drivers going off at spoon curve and lockups and things like that. He hasn't. He's looked very composed, I felt, this weekend, just built up pace. And now's where it matters. Now's where the points are paid. So he's just got to carry on what he's done for the last 2 days.
And for Mercedes as well, really important to maximise the points right now, because with this long break coming up, it does give the others a chance to try and develop and try and come up with some ideas to battle them, doesn't it?
It does. I think they've got a big enough advantage. I genuinely think, if they get off the line, and that is a question of whether Charles gets in front of him, they should be okay. But the inter-Mercedes battle, I think, will be fun to watch.
That's the one I'm thinking about. 330 metres from this first pole position down to first braking zone. George and Kimi at the moment allowed to fight. They are going all out against each other while trying to defend from the Ferraris. But it's big, isn't it, for George as well? He'll feel like he should be the #1 and leader in this team, and he's having a fight.
I think he's not thinking about that. He's thinking about, how do I win this Grand Prix? He's thinking of World Championship points. He's thinking about, how do I win this Grand Prix? If you look at the starts are going to be important. We're still so early on. Kimi's had 3 starts so far. He's made 1 good one and 2 bad ones. So, the odds aren't in his favour, but he can quite quickly make that 2 and 2.
How does George win it then? You're saying he'll be thinking about winning this Grand Prix today. How does he win it?
I think getting the start is going to be really important. Bernie was saying earlier how it looks like the one stop is going to be here's Jack Black.
Here is Jack Black. Yes, we saw him here on in the programme. Bowser on his top from the Super Mario new film.
Indeed.
Of course. All right, well, we've got a fascinating race on the way and lots more to come before that. Nat, back to you. Amazing. We're absolutely delighted to be joined by the cast of the new Super Mario movie. We've got Jack Black there, Anya Taylor-Joy. And if I can get there, hello! Very well, how are you? I'm Pinky, nice to meet you. We can talk into the...
Okay, I didn't know we were on camera. Are we rolling?
We're rolling, baby. We're live. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, those two are having a lovely chat. I don't think they realise that we are actually live as well.
Our chat is just as lovely.
I think so. So how is it? How is it being in Japan?
It's very exciting. We've had an incredible week. We hung out with Miyamoto-san, the inventor of Mario Universe.
Wow.
And we've had incredible experiences and journeys, right? It was been an amazing week.
We've had an incredible time. Really, really lucky.
Anya, you've been to quite a few races before in F1.
Yes.
If you could give a mushroom booster to any driver on this grid, who would that be?
I would give it to Lewis, because I know that on this particular track it's quite narrow, it's difficult to overtake, so yeah, I'd give it to Lewis.
I thought she might say that. Chris Pratt joins us now as well. How are you? How is the experience of being here?
This is incredible.
Can we just take a moment for the mushroom?
And we're here talking about Mario, the Mario Galaxy movie, but most importantly, we're just being swept up in this. Look, hundreds of thousands of people. You can totally see why the world is captivated by F1.
And captivated by you as well.
Well, Chris Jensen, you've played some pretty amazing roles over the years, but Mario, I mean, this is my childhood. It's everybody's childhood. Even adults today and children today, it's still their childhood. We're coming on the 40th anniversary of Super Mario. It's no better place to be than here in Kyoto. The better place to Mario. Oh, we're about to do the national anthem.
Now, wow. we saw you in Lewis's garage a bit earlier. How was that? You're in Ferrari race today.
Just backstage.
I can believe it.
How the sausage is made. We did a little workout with them too.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
Stretch out.
You're very limber.
Thank you, kind sir.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. Thanks for noticing.
Jack, I have a question. So you're from the School of Rock, but does anything really rock like Suzuka?
You know, this is an incredible crowd. I think they're all pumped. It seems like more of a house music crowd, you know, like techno. But it's definitely jumping. It's definitely vibing. It's about to go off.
It is about to go off, but before it does, we're going to have a moment of calm in the chaos because we've got the quite beautiful, although very short, Japanese national anthem coming here very soon. And we've been treated to incredible display from the dance squad. We've seen the kids and we've seen the great guys alongside us. Thanks for your company. Wow, a modern take then on the Japanese national anthem, one of the shortest in the world. The lyrics dating back 1,000 years. Calm pause with a little bit of rock added in to this glorious chaos that is the F1 grid. Okay, let's head over to Alex Albon, who's with Ted.
Well, any race around Suzuka is fun. Got your overtaking trousers on?
Yeah, maybe one car. But yeah, we'll go ahead, yeah.
Good. All right, have a good one, Alex. Thanks.
I mean, Alex has got a lot of work to do. The work was put in a bit earlier by this incredible dance stream. I mean, they were astonishing, mesmerising, somewhat terrifying as well. Jensen was a bit scared by these.
It's really impressive. I mean, yeah.
So impressive.
You know, I've got two left feet when it comes to dancing, so I'm even more mesmerised by how coordinated they are.
Incredible. Okay, let's hear from George Russell. He's for Sky Germany.
Well, we can't change it, but we need to adjust my driving style to compensate. So, we've got some ideas how to do that. It's a long race, plenty of opportunity, so let's see.
Joshua, it's all the time the same in Suzuka, it's downhill. What's the sort of difficult thing to get the start right here with that new procedure as well on top?
I need to hold the brake because it's downhill, so it sounds simple, but it's something you don't usually do at any of the races. Strong headwind, so it gives you a bit more downforce off the line, but it's a fast entry to turn one, so we'll do what I can do. See what that's off like.
That's
Well, they're having a good time, aren't they? Who else is going to have a good time today, Karun, in the Grand Prix? I want to pick out Pierre Gasly, incredible qualifying for him yesterday.
Yeah, really strong qualifying. He's in that fight against Max Verstappen, against Isaac Hadjar, that little group there behind the top six. But what does Lewis Hamilton do from sixth on the grid? If he can, and it's well and truly possible, jump ahead of even Oscar Piastri, that could be very interesting for the Ferrari race.
Okay, well, it is Hadjar in P8 and his teammate Max Verstappen P11. Let's hear from their team boss, Laura Mekis.
Laura, we can't see it because it's covered up, but I love this new upgrade package. The way you've shrunk the side pods and brought in the side impact structure. Super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, what should be impressive is the lap time. So we still have some work to do, but for sure, you know, it's going to be a huge development race this season. We are not starting at the right point, but we feel we need to tackle that with the same gun that we did last year and get our way through our limitations, and then the development will come.
And what's the aim today? Both cars in the points?
I think the first aim is to learn, because that's what we need at that stage. Learn our limitations, learn how to work around them, and of course this will mean points for today.
Thank you.
Corinne, let's talk about our world champion Lando Norris starting P5. He said he had to feel happy with that, given that he came into the weekend on the back foot after reliability issues, and then also all sorts of problems this weekend. So what can we expect from him today?
Yeah, he has been on the back foot. He's been compromised, you know, for anyone who didn't watch the practice coverage. He missed most of FP2 and a big chunk of FP3. So and this is a track that you need to do laps, you need to build confidence. It's a rhythm circuit. So I'm not surprised to see him behind Oscar. The Grand Prix will help him. Having these laps to get in the flow, you know, they're not chasing the last 110. This is about looking after the tyres and the car. So I think the start would be pretty good for him, because if he gets beaten by the Ferraris, then he's in a tricky spot. So the start's important for him.
The start's important for everyone, isn't it? Because we've seen how incredible the Ferraris can be off the line. What do you expect to happen?
I want to see if Charles Leclerc can get in the lead. He did it in Melbourne. He went from fourth to first. If he can get the lead, it'll be really, really interesting to see how Mercedes can try and get back in front of him there. So, yeah, fascinating to see him start.
It really will be. So it's Kimi Antonelli who starts on pole. George Russell will be alongside him on the front row. Oscar Piastri behind him third, with Charles Leclerc alongside him. Then we've got Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, Gasly, Hadjar, Portoletto and Limbrand make up your top 10. It is all to play for here in Japan. Not long now then, until the Japanese Grand Prix.
Not too far away from race start. We'll head back to Sky Sports F1 in just under 4 minutes time. Last year it was wrapped up by Lando Norris in terms of a winning standpoint. We've been coming here since the 90s, and the previous winners that I've got here, Sebastian Vettel, very dominant back in 2012 in the Red Bull. Who will back up? Can McLaren back up their winning streak? Of course, we did see Lando Norris last year win here. If anybody was to ask, my prediction for this race would possibly, my prediction, I reckon Oscar Piastri can put this in the bag. If McLaren say that their pace is as good as what they say it is, then they can definitely put this in the bag. They can definitely try, or at least hope to win this race up to a point here. This is going to be exciting. I am very, very excited. Of course, the Japanese circuit is woven into a sloping valley of hillside, some 30 miles or 48 kilometers southwest of Nagoya, which makes over 145 kilometers of East Osaka. There you go, fun fact. But this is going to be an exciting race. I'm very excited. My number one prediction up to this point would probably be Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri has every chance in the world. If he can do it correctly, he can. If they play their strategy correctly, I have a feeling it will be a one-stop, but let's see. Let's wait and find out. We're not too far away now from race start. Sky Sports for your last update.
And guiding you through all the action will be Bernie Collins on the pit wall, Ted Kravitz in the pit lane, and in commentary it's David Croft. Right, it's time to go racing at one of the greatest tracks of them all. Here's Jack Black to tell you why.
This place. Zen garden. Gorgeous koi pond. The steam of morning dew. This place? No.
This place doesn't care what galaxy you crawled out of. You could be born on Earth. You could be forged in the fires of a supernova. You could have been raised by wolves wearing racing gloves. See, you don't just say it. You feel it in your molars. Suzuka. 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 It's not a normal Sunday drive. It's not a let's grab a latte and cruise situation. It's 22 warriors strapped to ground-bound rocket ships. With nothing but talent and guts. No cup holders, no chill vibes. It twists, it bites. It's on another level. Dangerous dance. A high-speed ballet where one wrong toe step and well, that's all! Look at that! The engine scream at 15,000 RPM. Like a rock god hitting the high note. The tires claw at the very edge of reality. The steering wheel vibrates like it's possessed by a demon who skipped his morning coffee. Takes courage. Not the chest pumping kind. The quiet, terrifying kind. The kind where every survival instinct is yelling, "Ah!" This is amazing! There's no easy mode here. No magic stars or mushrooms. No warp pipes. Because once you're strapped in, once that visor drops, you're just staring at 5 red lights like they owe you money.
Well, we go again for the 4th time in 2026. It's time for the Japanese Grand Prix. We are racing around 3.6 miles, 5.8 kilometers, and, well, 18 corners that could only make up a Formula 1 Grand Prix circuit. We've got famous names like the S's, the Dagner, Spoon Curve, Hairpin, 130R, and the Casio Triangle that makes up this circuit. We've got 53 laps today, and as I said, 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, and the circuit in elevation-wise, it's 40 meters you go up, 40 meters you go down. Gerhard Berger was the first winner in 1987, and Michael Schumacher has the most wins here from, well, before 2012. We're running on the 3 compounds of tyres, hard, mediums, and softs. In practice, we saw a lot of the hard compound tyres due to it's technically only the second or third time they've used them this year, but the mediums and the hards will be the dominant tyre. I'm not expecting the softs to last very long. Yes, they are the hardest compound or soft compound tyre, but I'm not expecting they last long. It's now time to look at the starting grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso once more. Another back row lockout for the Aston Martin cars, followed by Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez in P20 and P19, the 2 Cadillacs. Then it's Ollie Behrman and Alex Albon, missing out Ollie Behrman on Q2 appearance, just unlike what he did in China. Carlos Sainz and Franco Colapinto in P15, just scraping through into Q2. Then Liam Lawson and Nico Hulkenberg. Liam Lawson had a chance to actually scrape through into Q2, but his lap was messed up. Nico Hulkenberg, then Esteban Ocon, and the big shock horror, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull Ford lines up P11. Arvid Lindblad and Gabriel Bortoleto is lining up P10 and P9. Running through the rest of your grid, Isaac Hadjar and Pierre Gasly, P7 and P8 on this grid. And then we've got Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris in position 6 and position 5. And rounding out your other 2 rows, Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri. Then followed by George Russell. And of course, Kimi Antonelli, who lines up first and second on this grid. It's another Mercedes front row lockout, unlike what it was in the other 2 rounds. It's a weekend that has been sold out. Every single seat, every single grandstand, every single bit of grass has been taken. Every seating opportunity you could possibly think of has been taken. This venue has been absolutely packed since the first support category of Porsche Carrera Cup earlier today, and even through Ferrari Challenge. Oscar Piastri, we look on board. The concentration levels will now start to be making their way up. I'm expecting this race to be a one-stop. You wouldn't think it would be anything else, right? You would not think that this race would be anywhere further than a one-stop. I mean, unless you're starting on the soft tyres, then you would think it might be a 2-stop. But you'd be gambling on a one-stop at this point. You would very much be gambling on a one-stop. With the harder compound of tyre, maybe you go medium hard. There's so many questions. There's so many answers to be answered. And we're going to answer it within the next 58 laps of the Japanese Grand Prix. This is going to be very, very exciting. This Suzuka circuit on paper, it looks easy. It certainly isn't. You've got 2 very hard corners. Turn 13, turn 14. You're on approach of 5th gear. 130R no longer flat in these brand new cars. You've halved the downforce. Spoon curve makes it a lot more tricky. We've had a tailwind through there all weekend. Starting in FP1, that tailwind just caught the cars out. Lando Norris has been struggling through there. And 130R, not yet, has caught out any cars, but expect it to do so. Casio Triangle as well. Watch out for that to be a big, big problem. It's now hit 10 past the hour. We're going to get the formation up underway. The cars will leave the grid. It's now going to be very important that the drivers get as much temperature into the tyres as humanly possible. All the drivers except one Cadillac of Valtteri Bottas starting on the hard compound tyre. And I would only guess that Bottas, if it works correctly, running long on those hards, trying to even out possibly a strategy than the soft tyres for the last 20 laps of the Grand Prix. 53 laps we have in store for you right here, right now. This is going to be a very, very interesting race. The fastest pit stop so far of 2026, 2.17 seconds. It is an absolute domination from Mercedes in every sense of the word. There's a 33-point gap in the constructors. You wouldn't be thinking about championships at the moment. Not at this point in the season. The cars make their way through Degner 2 now as they build up on their formation up. One final word from Sky Sports F1, and there will be 5 red lights, and we'll be racing.
Yield that if you don't have to.
Track position to your teammates especially, because you're going to be doing the same strategy as your teammate. So if you're in front of your teammate at turn 1, there's a very good chance you're going to beat him, I think, here.
Yeah, the good news for Mercedes, they've locked out the front row. The bad news for Mercedes, both drivers have dropped places at the start in the opening Grand Prix this season.
And that weighs on your mind as a driver. You know, Kimi's had a flawless weekend, but coming to the start, he's going to be a little bit nervous, I think, about getting it off the right.
On board with Max Verstappen, his records when starting outside the top 10. 26 starts, 2 wins and 7 podium finishes. He's letting cars go past for a reason.
No, I think he actually came out the corner.
Okay, just got ahead. That bit I missed as I was reading out his stats on that one. If he can get onto the podium today, that is going to be a Herculean effort as the cast of Mario Galaxy assembled to watch this race, giving high energy on the grid, it had to be said, before the start of this race. And I rather feel that Bowser is the part Jack Black was born to play.
I totally agree. No, they're fully into this, and Anya's been here quite a few times supporting Lewis Hamilton, so there's real love for the sport, I think.
That wasn't the greatest shock when she said she'd give the mushroom boost to Lewis Hamilton. She's a big supporter of Lewis Hamilton. So here we go, 2 Mercedes, followed by a McLaren and a Ferrari, and then a McLaren and a Ferrari occupying.
Watch out for the Ferraris on this opening lap. They're going to be extremely strong. Actually, throughout the next 10 laps of this Grand Prix, they're going to be the strongest car until you hit the end of that first stint when they will start to drop off. When their tyres start to drop off, that is when Ferrari are going to be in a bit of trouble. But watch out for Red Bull as well. There is Yuki Tsunoda urging himself on in this run. This is going to be good. Watch out for Max Verstappen to make his way through the grid. This is going to be an extremely important race for Max, because we know how good he is at overtaking, but this circuit, it's not made for overtaking. It is made for line of stern action. We're not going to see that on this first lap. There is George Russell, Kimi Antonelli. Who will lead into turn 1? That is the big question. Fernando Alonso lines himself up on the grid along with Lance Stroll. The rest of the cars make their way on to the grid, trying to get temperature into the tyres. Starting formation is about to get underway. You will see the blue lights pop up, and that will give you the indication that the starting procedure has gotten underway. There are the lights. They are green lights this weekend, apparently. Green lights, red lights, 4 of them, 5 of them. It's 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go, and a good start from the Mercedes, but it has not been as good as what the Ferraris have, and both McLarens will lead into turn number 1. That looks to be Oscar Piastri, sweeps around the outside, and will lead into turn number 1. What a start! Lando Norris sweeping around the outside as well, of what looks to be George Russell, but not a good start from the Mercs. They almost bogged down what looked to be like they had no battery. That was an absolutely awful start, but I think it is Oscar Piastri who's had a blinding start and has nearly pulled a second on the first lap. What a start! Wow, that is not something I was expecting. Lap 1 of 53, and those McLarens are absolutely flying. They are 1 and 3, and now you've got someone like Charles Leclerc who sits in P2 as we speak. The cars make their way up into the hairpin. What a start from Oscar Piastri. That is an absolute blinder. He's pulled a second on the Ferraris. We've seen so far this year, the Ferraris have been very dominant. Ollie Behrman up the inside of what looks to be Max Verstappen. Not going to happen. Sorry, that is Esteban Ocon up the inside of Max Verstappen. The first time this year that they've out-qualified. There, Esteban Ocon. He actually looked up the inside. Max has got a good start. He's up in position. But what a start from Oscar Piastri. Followed by Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Antonelli, followed by then Pierre Gasly, Isaac Hadjar, Arvid Lindblad, and Max Verstappen. This has been a blind start, and I've said it already 3 times, but a good start from Oscar. A very, very good start. We've got on board here George Russell now with the active aero, getting past Lewis Hamilton, burning battery all the way down the front straight and into turn number 1. Would have burnt a bit more battery than what he would have liked to try and get past, but again, it's lap 1. You can easily conserve that. It was not a good start from Kimi Antonelli, though. He's down 4 positions off the pole. Those Mercs really need to figure out a way to fix up their starts, because they've not been very good at it. We've got 52 laps to go. Isaac Hadjar putting pressure on Arvid Lindblad in position 8, but it was not the start. It was not the start I was expecting. The Ferrari's got a very good jump. Well, I say that. It was the Ferrari that got a very good jump. Lewis Hamilton, well, went somewhere, but had nowhere to go. Leclerc had somewhere to go, but didn't actually have nowhere to go, because the McLarens were in his way. So, the Ferraris have been shafted by the McLarens, which is something that you must get quite used to saying, especially last year. The 2 Red Bulls now at the inside, and that is Max Verstappen getting a move done on his teammate, and he's up into P9. And he even did that. So through the curve at turn 12, through Dunlop corner, he's got that done very, very nicely now into Spoon Curve. He's got it done up into position 9. Now he will be putting pressure on Arvid Lindblad. Meanwhile, Ocon looking for a move as he burns battery all the way down the front straight and pulls back in behind that on Hadjar, thinking to himself, maybe that's not a very good idea. Hadjar back around the outside, the 2 Red Bulls side by side. Max gives Hadjar the good old squeeze into the Casio triangle. Not going to happen that time around. Max is going aggressive, and because Max squeezed Hadjar, he's had no momentum coming off the Casio triangle, and it's given the chance for Ocon to get by. Hadjar now knocked out of the points. Max maybe not very happy with his qualifying spot, but it's something you probably couldn't control. Yeah, it just seems like it's the genuine car pace of that Red Bull that has let Max down in the early part of this race. But so far, so good. Russell there has gotten by Lando Norris. Is it sort of this situation that we've seen so far this year? Is McLaren going to be strong in the opening stint? We will have to wait and find out. Is it just going to be McLaren that are going to be strong in this opening stint? Like what we've seen in Australia, where Ferrari was strong, same with China as Behrman gets up the inside of Gabriel Bortoleto. I think that's coming out of turn, maybe heading into the first Degner. I think he got that move done, so not a bad move. Sorry, correction, he got that done into the hairpin up at turn 11, just after the second Degner there. So good pass there from Ollie Behrman, getting the move done on the Audi. But now, pulling a second, meaning there's no active arrow, no straight mode for Leclerc to be used by the battery will be helping him as well. He probably would have saved quite a bit of battery for the first couple of opening laps, just to try and keep up with Oscar Piastri here. It's going to be very important that he does so. But Oscar Piastri, a very, very good start. Kimi Antonelli now will burn battery all the way down this front straight. And with the boost, move done. George Russell gets up the inside of Charles Leclerc. And now George Russell moves himself up into position 2. The Ferraris don't look as quick on this opening start of this race compared to what they did, for example, in China, compared to what they did, for example, in Australia. They don't look as quick, but again, you've still got 49 laps to go. Now, this is going to be the real test here. Are Mercedes genuinely quicker than McLaren? We have not seen this so far this year, and I think this might be a new test for Mercedes. Have McLaren started to slowly crawl back into this fight? George Russell, fastest lap of the race, 134.4 in the opening early phases of this race. Still 49 laps to go, so plenty of time remaining in this one. Max Verstappen starting to close up onto the back of Lindblad in that RB. Again, Lindblad out-qualified Max in an overall race, in an overall qualifying standpoint. He actually even out-qualified him, which is, to be honest, quite interesting. Lando Norris in position 4, now going to get under attack by Kimi Antonelli, the Italian driver, who currently sits in position 5. See what happens from these drivers as they make their run now into 130R for the 5th time in this Grand Prix. Under brakes again into the Casio triangle. Russell has not closed. I don't think he's burning as much battery here on these opening couple of laps. Heading on to lap 5 now. 1.5 seconds the gap. And they were almost even on lap times that time around. Those two, so not too bad from the McLaren. But you've got to hope that he has enough battery in store for when you would think eventually the Mercedes of George Russell catches him. Max Verstappen now, since our last look, has closed right back up on the back of Arvid Lindblad in position 8. The cars make their run through the S's. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, and even turn 7 as well. Max has closed right up onto the back of Arvid Lindblad. The margin 1.3 seconds just out in front for the moment. But how long will that stay that way? That is the big question here. 48 laps to go. Still plenty of time for this race to really unfold. As we look here, that is Kimi Antonelli looking around the outside. Not going to happen, not that time around. On Lando Norris, not going to happen. Max Verstappen up the inside of Arvid Lindblad, and he's gotten the move done. Very, very nicely done from Max up into position 8. He's now got a 3-second gap to close to Pierre Gasly. He got that move done at the hairpin, turn 11. Very nice move. Cars making their way out of Spoon Curve, down the front straight they go. Starting to close up. Here is George Russell. 1.1 seconds is the gap to Oscar Piastri now. And again, the Mercedes pace starting to show because George Russell has pulled nearly 2 seconds the gap to Leclerc. And you've got Norris just over half a second behind, or just over a second behind of Charles Leclerc. Then it's half a second back to Antonelli there. So this is the battle we're looking at the moment, P4, P5 in the opening 5-6 laps of this race. You'll be surprised just how quickly this race goes by here. Let's take a look at the race starts. It was not a good start for the 3rd consecutive round in a row. Kimi Antonelli went absolutely nowhere. Same with Kimi Antonelli. He's dropped nearly 3 spots. I think he dropped nearly 7 spots on that race start there. George Russell went nowhere either. But that McLaren of Oscar Piastri, let me tell you this much, he has somewhere to go. that. Oh, no. Is that a jump start? Possibly for Kimi Antonelli. He had moved. I seeing things. Had Kimi Antonelli moved before the start line? That is a big question mark there. Kimi Antonelli. I don't know. I think I was seeing things, but I think Kimi Antonelli, the reason why he did not move off a secondary start there is because he possibly jumped it. Possibly for Italian Kimi Antonelli up inside there. This is the replay of George Russell getting that move done on Lando Norris. We'll see if the FIA think any more of that, but unless I'm just seeing things, unless I'm genuinely seeing things there. Did Kimi Antonelli jump that start? It was very, very questionable indeed, though. Lap 7, we are building to, at the moment, Isaac Hadjar. Now, closing up onto the back of Arvid Lindblad as he tries to get back into the points, and that straight mode will be helping him along with the active arrow all the way down the front straight. Bortoleto up the inside of Ollie Behrman. Gets the move done into turn 1. What a move from Bortoleto. Gets the move done into turn number 1. There would have had to been a lot of cooperation from Ollie Behrman there, but he's got the move done up into position 14. As we switch back now to Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli. This battle, P4, P5, separated by half a second. At the moment, we'll see how this battle unfolds, but in terms of a tyre update, Bottas has dropped back to position 22 on those hard compound tyres, but I think they won't have fired up just yet. Apart from that, though, every single other driver on the medium tyres, you would think, would run about 20 laps on these mediums, then run about 33 laps on the hard compound tyres. That would be the optional strategy at this point. We look back from George Russell. He, at the moment, is putting pressure on the back of Oscar Piastri, who has closed right up. Has George Russell, 0.4 of a second is the gap. And he will have battery to burn all the way down this front straight. This is going to be interesting as they head into turn number 1, these two. This is going to be very interesting indeed. Does George Russell pull out? No, he sticks in behind. The McLaren this time around does not pull out. Yeah, again, there's still a chunk of this first stint to go. You're going to be wanting to run. The maximum window is lap 22, maybe even lap 23. If there's a safety car, then you could possibly box about lap 16. And a one-stop would be very, very risky here. But if there was to be a safety car, I would reckon maybe the pit stop window would be about lap 19 for a pit stop if there was a safety car. And you'd possibly move on to those hard compound tyres. There were a few drivers in free practice, for example, Max Verstappen, that had tested out that tyre in a race run form. It seemed like it didn't do too bad, to be completely honest with you, about 1.5 seconds off the pace during its drop-off phase. But, of course, not many laps to actually test that hard tyre out. George Russell, that Piastri is actually pulled away slightly here. Has George Russell maybe just used a bit too much of his battery? See, the tyre's already starting to grain on George Russell's car. So, maybe a bit too much tyre usage in the first maybe 8, 9, 10 laps of this race. Maybe a bit too much tyre usage. George Russell up the inside now. Oscar Piastri has nothing left in terms of battery, I would think, and he's got moved up into position 1 now. Goes George Russell, and he's taking the lead. Now, with straight mode, Oscar Piastri will be a threat to George Russell as he burns battery all the way down the front straight. Piastri gets the move done, and back up into position 1. Meanwhile, the battle behind Leclerc, nice. There, Leclerc's got the move done. I think he's up into P3 once more. Yeah, this is a battle P3, P4, P5. Practically, the top 5 having a battle, except from second back to third. There's a big gap of nearly 3 seconds. Sorry, make that only 2 seconds, that gap there. But first, second, third, fourth, and fifth all having a battle for respective positions at the moment. We look on board Kimi Antonelli, as he will be chasing down Lando Norris. That will be his goal in this race. Possibly try and chase down Lando Norris in this one. But it's started to calm down now. We're 10 laps in. This race is starting to slowly unfold. If you're just joining in here, it could be an investigation for a jump start I could be wrong, though. This is the move for... jump start for Kimi Antonelli. That is George Russell up the inside. Sorry, George Russell jump start, possibly. But that's George Russell up the inside of Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri, where he takes the move on George Russell and gets back up into the lead on the front straight into turn 1. Got the move done. Now, from my point of view, and I could be completely wrong, someone please correct me if you are watching or listening along. It could be a jump start. I'm not completely sure. Do not trust me in any word of that, because I could be wrong. If the FIA possibly would have investigated it by now, if there was to be a jump start, but we'll see. We will see. Meanwhile, Norris and Antonelli just coming out of the Casio triangle were side by side on the exit. See how that unfolds as they make their run down the front straight into turn number 1 now. Kimi Antonelli right up on the back of Lando Norris through the S's, trying not to get too much of that dirty air as we head on to lap 10 of this race. Starting to spice up a little bit between this battle, P4, P5. It's all starting to close up just a little bit at the moment. As I said before, that pit stop window, I would think about lap 22, lap 23 to get onto those hard compound tyres and go to the end. Maybe a safety car window would be about lap 17, lap 18. If there's a safety car anywhere before, for example, maybe even a virtual safety car, would you box at this point? If there was to be a virtual safety car right now, would you box? That would be the question. At the moment, that would be the big question indeed. Isaac Hadjar closing up on the back of Arvid Lindblad in position 10. Red Bull looking for some decent point scoring positions, should I say. Red Bull are hoping to get some good point scoring positions indeed. As now the drivers make their run through the Casio triangle. This group P3, P4, P5 all line astern now. And on the exit, getting the power down ever so slightly. The straight mode will be helping them all the way down this front straight. We'll see how they get on into turn number 1. Now, this race is definitely calmed down here on lap 11. The drivers now settling into a rhythm. A very, very small rhythm at this point. You can see Leclerc there just snapping so sideways into turn 6. Meanwhile, Hadjar has closed up onto the back of Arvid Lindblad in position 10. Keep an eye out for that battle just in the corner of your eye there. This is the battle we're looking for at this point of the Grand Prix. But we will see what happens. Leclerc has pulled away that Ferrari now, starting to burn some of its battery. Is Charles Leclerc starting to burn just a little bit more of its battery around the Casio triangle. Sorry, round spoon curve. Now at the other side, Kimi Antonelli, though, he will be absolutely gutted that he is not, he's currently not in the lead. He will be gutted at up to this point, you would think. As up the inside now goes Kimi Antonelli, gets the move done on Lando Norris, up into position 4 with a bit of battery, being burnt in the process, moves up into position 4. Very nice move indeed. But still got 41 laps to go. Yes, the first 12 laps have absolutely flown by, as the pace of this race at the moment. As Isaac Hadjar now has actually closed right back up onto the back of Arvid Lindblad here in position 10. Piastri saying front left has a narrow brand of draining. There's Oscar Piastri. So maybe that pit window might be coming a bit earlier than what we would have been expecting here. I was thinking maybe lap 20, lap 21. Even in the lap 20s, I was thinking. In the 20 lap range, I was thinking that this pit window was on to open, but I'm thinking maybe that's a question mark as to if that is even going to stand at this point. Yeah, but yeah, Piastri will start. He's starting to struggle with a bit of front grip, as you just heard. Starting to struggle indeed, as Isaac Hadjar through Degner 2 makes his run. He's actually just closed up on the back of Lindblad. He looks around the outside at the hairpin. He's got no room on the outside. Going to be side by side. Hadjar loses momentum though. Lindblad has given him a squeeze. He actually kicked up a bit of dust there in the background, just watching on with this battle here. Hadjar back to the outside into Spoon Curve now, side by side. Not going to happen. And there's definitely not enough room on the outside to get that move done. We're riding on board now with George Russell on your main screen. Just in the bottom left, you will see Isaac Hadjar and Arvid Lindblad. Hadjar with boost and also with a bit of battery. As this race goes on, you will see the cars maybe just slowly start to take 130R flat as the track rubbers in a little bit more. But we will see Hadjar through the Casio triangle with the boost mode now down the front straight, and the active arrow will give him literally half the downforce, well, nearly quarter the downforce off the car. And actually, he's not gotten anywhere close. Hadjar, has he got a problem? No, he's just possibly run out of battery for Isaac Hadjar there. So Hadjar there just running out of battery on the front straight, and that would have costed him a little bit of time. But he's actually dropped off quite a lot there, Hadjar. He's lost a lot of time to Arvid Lindblad, and in the process, actually, has Liam Lawson has caught up to him as well. So maybe he's just run out a bit of battery there for Hadjar, burning a bit too much down the back straight there on the exit of Spoon Curve. Maybe burnt a bit too much battery than what he probably would have wanted. Than what he would have hoped for, at least. Still got 40 laps to go, though, so plenty of time to recover some of that battery and see where these drivers will end up at the end of lap 53. Charles Leclerc, though, making his run through 130R now. And late on the brakes, Kimi Antonelli looking for that move into the Casio triangle, and getting the exit is going to be extremely important for Kimi Antonelli. We'll keep an eye on that battle, though, because I think there might be a move on for position number 4. There's also a move on, possibly for Leclerc and Norris and Hamilton, unless I'm stand corrected here. Leclerc, no, it is Leclerc and Antonelli that this move is on for. So Antonelli did close right up onto the back, just couldn't get the move done. Lawson dropping back, that is a problem definitely for Lawson. Has he hit a barrier? Because he's dropped right back. Lawson has had a spin. He's dropped back on our timing screens here. He's down into position 22. Has there been a spin for Liam Lawson? Keep you updated on that as to if I see anything. But Lawson has dropped all the way back in the pack here. Right back to position 22. Has he possibly made a bit of contact with Isaac Hadjar? That could be my only thought at this point. But meanwhile, we are currently looking at this battle between Leclerc and Antonelli as it continues to brew. Does this battle lap 14 we tick over to, and sorry, it was a timing glitch that we saw there, so our timing's slightly glitching, so there was not a problem with Liam Lawson. But there is Kimi Antonelli now roving up on the back of Charles Leclerc. 43 laps to go left in this one. Watch for this. Kimi Antonelli's got a good exit out of the Casio triangle and will look for a move. You see there slightly, ever so quickly, turning off the battery for Charles Leclerc. Not burning as much down that back straight. Kimi may be burning a bit more than what the Ferrari driver did.
See that he's pushing. If we hold track position, I think we can hang up to this. Copy Oscar, understood.
So Oscar confident at this point that they can hold position, but can they? That is the real question there. I'm worried, possibly for McLaren, but then yet again, Piastri held off the strike Russell put on Piastri then, so I'm confident. I am confident, but my prediction could be coming true here. Oscar Piastri could be on for a first race win in 2026. He could be on. It could break Mercedes with their winning streaks at this point. Now, the strategy that Mercedes could possibly play in this one, as Isaac Hadjar looks up the inside of what looks to be Lindblad. Lindblad has been given a black and white flag for moving under braking, so a warning there. But this is a warning shot from Kimi Antonelli up the inside into the Casio triangle and gets the move done on Charles Leclerc. And he's up into position 3 now, is Kimi Antonelli. But Hadja, a good old attack on Arvid Lindblad, who currently sits in position 10. Antonelli viciously covering to the left-hand side. They're going to be side by side now, the two. Ferrari versus Mercedes, and Ferrari dominates. Still, lap 16 of 53, and Leclerc gets back by. I think it was a bit of loss of momentum there from Kimi Antonelli. Maybe has a bit of marbles on his tyres from moving off the racing line.
Thought we were going to hear some team radio there for a moment. And that...
the tyres coming off there. One off.
So Piastri there saying, so McLaren there saying thoughts on another strategy, saying a one-stop, which I was thinking one-stop was going to be the dominant strategy anyway. So interesting that they thought of that there. But they're saying now the pit window on our graphic here, saying that the pit window is open now. If you were to do a one-stop, surely not a one-stop on lap 15. You'd want to extend past lap 15, maybe even to lap 23, to confidently get those hard tyres to the end of the race. Lap 23 would be a confident window. I would most likely think at this point in the race that would be a confident window to try and get the hard compound tyres to the end. Isaac Hadjar there, closing on the back of Lindblad. Lindblad has lost a lot of time to Ocon. Meanwhile, we've got one of the McLarens in. That is Lando Norris looking for the undercut on his teammate. Nice in. Yeah, that is critical. So maybe the other side of the garage, Lando Norris, his crew are saying maybe it's time that you try and undercut your teammate. Go back to those 2025 strats here. Can Lando pounce his way up the grid? Going onto those hard compound tyres early, this could be a risky strategy. Yeah, it's risky to if there is a virtual safety car or even a safety car up to this point. Behrman in the box as well. Yep, so Behrman in the pits. See how what that pit stop works out like. So Behrman looking for an undercut strategy as well. Again, the only thing that could stop that strategy, a bit of a slow stop there from Behrman, 4.3 seconds on the gun side of things, but the only thing that can shaft these undercutters would be a virtual safety car, would be a safety car. That's the only thing that can shaft everybody at this point that goes for that undercut. Now, where is Norris? Popped out, P9 at the moment. So Norris out in P9 for the moment. We'll see how that unfolds for him, but we're currently looking at this for Charles Leclerc and Kimi Antonelli. Meanwhile, Leclerc has been told to box. They're possibly trying to undercut George Russell and Piastri up in front. So under threat are Russell and Piastri possibly for the undercut. Leclerc being told to box. Kimi stays out. And now you could just see there Kimi's starting to burn the battery. So he is now looking for the overcut, Mercedes. But which car will box first? Watch for Lando Norris. He's making his run through 130R. This is important. This is a critical stop. What Ferrari are doing there, they are stopping the undercut of Lando Norris. And they could possibly hold up. This could possibly... I think this undercut has worked. No, it hasn't. So Ferrari have played an absolute masterclass here. They stopped the undercut from Lando Norris. But the gap is 1.6 seconds. So the gap has definitely closed. There's no doubt about it. The gap has definitely closed. Was Lando held up by Ocon? That is the question, though. Because Ocon was behind Lando when he came out of the pits. So maybe Norris was held up ever so slightly in the end. So that might just have been the real problem. Colapinto into the box as well. Getting off those medium tyres. Getting onto a fresh set of what I would only think is the hard compound tyres. Putting those medium tyres to rest. Oscar Piastri. This is the gap, though. 1.7 seconds. The thoughts in McLaren's head were possibly to say, try a one-stop. I think most of the... Piastri being told to box. So, now saying that one-stop is not working. And it's also because they're under threat for a undercut as well. Yeah. If they weren't to box, they would have been under threat to be undercut. So there's no doubt that they possibly could have boxed. And that's what they've done. Off the mediums, putting those mediums to rest and onto the hard compound tyres for what I would think to try and stretch to the end of the race. It is a risk. It is a risk. You've got 34 laps to go, though. So anything is possible up to this point. The gap is 5 seconds between Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. So they've closed the gap, the predicted gap. At the moment, if Antonelli was to box now, they'd be right on top of each other. That is the predicted gap. Lindblad into the box. Slow stop. Very slow stop from Lindblad. But the predicted gap was 0.02 of a second. So they're practically going to be on top of each other by the time that the pit stops happen. That is the predicted gap, 0.016 of a second. So that is just how much the undercut will work in this race. If, and this is a big if you could play it correctly. If you can play the undercut correctly, it will work like an absolute charm. If you cannot play the undercut correctly, you'll be absolutely mudded. But Oscar Piastri, though, in technical terms, he's leading the race by just over 6 seconds to the gap of Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. Technically, Arvid Lindblad, but he's nearly 40 seconds off the back of those guys. And Lindblad possibly not in the race of those guys at this point. This is the battle, though. Russell, Antonelli. On the last lap, last 3 laps ago, Russell was nearly a second quicker. But now it's turning the other direction. Maybe the mediums are having a second life here. Or is George just pushing these mediums to the very end of their life? Because he's went 4/10 quicker on the last 3 laps than what Kimi has.
I think we'll lose a lot of race time extended.
And there you go. Russell now saying, I think I'm going to lose a lot of race time by extending. What he means by race time is he thinks that he's going to lose a lot of time to the cars behind. It's going to be questionable. It's going to be questionable. Hadjar into the box, off the mediums, onto a set of hards. Yes, onto a set of hard compound tyres for Isaac Hadjar. There is that opportunity if you weren't to get the hards to the end of the race. You would think you would go on to the medium tyres again if you do have a set of medium tyres. Oscar Piastri, though, he's going to have to deal with a bit of an annoying Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen could absolutely turn the tables of this race here if, of course, he holds Oscar up. But he's going to have extra rubber on those tyres. He's going to have extra rubber everywhere over what Max Verstappen will. Does he get the move done? Boost mode, battery, side by side now, into Casio Triangle. Max covers. He's going to play an absolute stormer here. 2.6 now the gap if Russell boxes. This is a game-changing point of the race. Max, does he just let Oscar by? Yes. Down the front straight he does. Oscar moves his head over to the right-hand side and possibly says it to himself in the helmet. What an absolute butthead. That's the easiest way of saying it, possibly. For slightly holding him up through the Casio Triangle there. We're on board now with Kimi Antonelli. The margin is 2 seconds. Both Mercs are holding this out here. I thought Kimi had boxed. Had Kimi boxed? Apparently not. Apparently Kimi Antonelli had not boxed. And yeah, I thought he'd boxed for some reason. Excuse that. There. Now, the next threat for Oscar Piastri will be Pierre Gasly. Now, if Mercedes don't box soon, there might be a whole pit stop being gained. But you wouldn't think that. There's an 11-second gap between Hamilton and Gasly here. So, Russell will lose a lot. And there you go. He's been told to box. Kimi has been left out to dry. He's going to go one more lap in this scenario. Kimi Antonelli goes one more lap. And with 32 laps to go as well. So now, both the Mercs will be 100% on a one-stop. And it's also past that pit window that we thought was going to be lap 21. Lap 16 even, I think it was. Off the mediums, on the hards goes George Russell. And absolutely perfects that pit stop there. George Russell, though, where does he come out? He will come out just behind Max, just in front of Max Verstappen. So Max going absolutely long. Yellow flag though. Behrman has crashed. Behrman is out. Big crash from Ollie Behrman into the barrier. Huge shunt. Huge shunt from Ollie Behrman. This will be on a safety car. This will be a safety car. Behrman in the barrier. This is change the race. Kimi Antonelli will get a free pit stop. Free pit stop territory. And Mercedes have shafted people like Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli has been shafted. Max is absolutely loving life. Hamilton has not been shafted, sorry. Kimi's loving life. Hamilton's loving life. Oscar's hating life right now. Oh my God. What an absolute game changer. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. When Kimi Antonelli comes out of the pit lane here, he will have a 13-second gap back to someone like, you know... Oh, I missed the radio message, but I could only imagine that George would be absolutely fuming right now. Kimi Antonelli has already a huge shot to win this race. Perez, Stroll, Alonso, Kimi, Hamilton, Gasly, Max, Lawson, Bortoletto, all in. Sainz, Albon. They will all be in, and they will all be a position in front of their rivals at this point. That has changed the course of this race. That it has. It has changed it dramatically. Off the mediums, onto the hards, and this will run right through to the end of the race. And one safety car has just completely changed it all. That is absolutely huge. Max being told to box. Gasly being told to box. Pierre Gasly will be in a very good position here. He will be inside the 10 here, Pierre Gasly. If not inside the 10, just outside of it. There you go. He's inside the 10. Pierre Gasly, P7, Max Verstappen, P8, and they're both on fresh rubber. Behrman, oh, he's got a limp. So that must have been a big, big, big crash. Behrman has got a limp. That must have been an absolute monstrous crash for Behrman to be limping. These drivers train 7 days a week, and for an F1 driver to be limping after a crash that you would think wouldn't be so big for an F1 driver, that just shows maybe there might be a bit of barrier damage down there. If, of course, he's hit it at the speed to the point where he's actually hurt his leg. Let's take a look at the replay. Behrman up into the Casio triangle. Oh, this is not going to be good. Oh, he's come up on lap traffic. Oh, that's monstrous. Oh, you're kidding. Oh, that's a big shunt. And he's just been caught in behind an Alpine. And the Alpine has been the death of him. Oh, he's moved. Franco Colapinto has just caused an absolute monstrous crash. Wow. Colapinto, not knowing where Behrman was, has had an absolute monstrous crash. Wow. Wow. That is absolute... Wow. That is just showing how important an engineer is over the radio nowadays. Because that could have been a lot bigger. If Colapinto turned into Antonelli, Antonelli could have done about 4 barrel rolls. Behrman could have done about 4 barrel rolls right over the top. And that could have been bad. Russell.
Look, these last 2 races. George, see what you can do from here. Yeah, super lucky.
Again, it's like a McLaren situation. Papaya rules in the sense of Mercedes. They've brought George in for a different strategy a few laps earlier, and guess what it's done? It's thrown everything out the window. Everything I said about how Antonelli stays out another lap, he'll have an extra fresh, he'll have fresher tyres. In any situation, now Antonelli has fresher tyres. So it doesn't matter. And Toto giving that motivational boost to George there as Nico Hülkenberg makes his way into the pit lane and will drop to the back of the pack. I don't see what the strategy is here for Audi, but that is a monstrous shunt for Ollie Behrman. You can see the limp he had on but there are thousands of tyres that would have actually deflected the hit quite a bit, but he would have moved a lot in the cockpit, which probably would have hurt his leg. And F1 cars nowadays are designed for safety. When you think back to cars back in the 2000s when they didn't have as many safety features, they're a lot more safer nowadays. This is how the championship will run if it stays the way it is. Kimi Antonelli will lead the championship by 14 points over George Russell. That is a beat-up, brand-new livery for Haas. It looks to be as if there's chassis damage, actually. So that is a broken chassis, and there's actually a lot of debris on the road down there. So the marshals will get to that. We've got 38 laps to go. Actually, 29 laps to go left in this race. I'm going to expect that I'm going to be on a safety car maybe for another 3 laps, possibly. If, of course, it all plays out the way I think it is going to. But, yeah, it's now going to put Kimi Antonelli in the lead of the championship if it was to stay the way it is. But, again, we're only just at the halfway point of this race, to be completely honest with you. So, a lot still to run. We've got about 29 laps to go.
Very cold by the time we finish this safety car. Ted, down to you.
Right, so with the rush of cars into the pit lane under the safety car, of course, much cheaper stop. You gain 10 seconds. It's 10 seconds better race time in total by stopping under the safety car. So as Bernie said, amongst the other winners, Liam Lawson, the Williams stacked Sainz and Albon, Gabriel Bortoletto. Eventually, you said, Hulkenberg came in, Lewis Hamilton, Antonelli, Sergio Perez, Isaac Hadjar lost out, of course, as Max Verstappen did pit. Someone who's taken double advantage, Crofty, if there is such a thing, is Fernando Alonso. He's pitted twice under the safety car.
As is his teammate, just done it there.
Because they're going for a little tyre test. So this race was going to be a bit of a test for the Aston Martins. Anyway, they put the hard tyre on, and now they've gone onto the medium. Also for Valtteri Bottas, remember Bottas started on the hard, and that seems a long time ago, but Bottas now on the medium, and that's going to be a bit of a hard ask, isn't it? To get a medium from now to the end of the race for Valtteri Bottas.
He was struggling on the hard tyre anyway, Valtteri Bottas. It's the reaction of Io Komatsu, team principal at Haas, to that incident. Ollie Behrman limping away. We can go to Io now. That was a big crash, Io. What did Ollie say on the radio? We've not heard from him.
Yeah, he just had a huge closing speed against the car in front, so he had to take avoiding action. He went on the grass and crashed, so yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
Did Colin Pinto move a little bit too far?
No, amazing. It's just the closing speed. I think it's just huge.
The sad thing is, you were looking at a decent race, not just for Ollie, who made up places, but for Esteban Ocon, who was running comfortably in the top 10 too at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. He was on P9. He was clearly ahead of Lawson Bortoletto with the safety car. He's behind now, so just got to do it again.
And Ollie's now gone to the medical centre, yeah?
I believe so, yes.
Fingers crossed that everything is okay and it's just a bit of a sore ankle. We'll come back to you in a little while, and you can maybe give us an update if you can. Ocon now 11th, Ollie Behrman the one retiree from this race, and that's DNF for Ollie Behrman. He was 5th in the Drivers' Championship before today. He scored all of Haas's points so far this season. It's huge closing speed. Whether Colin Pinto had an issue or not, I don't know.
I wouldn't say so. And also, that is a tricky corner. You know, it is so narrow up there, and you really feel it. You know, you're carrying such high speed through that right before you get to Spoon, and you're never offline. And I think that's also an issue. He's more to the left. There's a lot of marbles on the track, as you can see. It's quite dirty out there. So I think that's why it's pulled him off the track there.
Pierre Gasly currently running in 7th then for Alpine. There are opportunities whenever we get a safety car as the field then closes up. We do have Valtteri Bottas that needs to unlap himself before we get going, and he has been told that he can now go and unlap himself. Car number 77, 7 years ago, was winning the Japanese Grand Prix from 3rd on the grid, one of 3 drivers that have won from outside the
front row here since 1991. Fernando Alonso being one of the others in 2006, and Kimi Räikkönen from 2005, where he started 17th on the grid. The latest Kimi, not Räikkönen, Antonelli, despite what you may have heard on the podium in Shanghai a couple of weeks ago, now has the lead of this race. Now, he started on pole, Jensen. That didn't go well for him. He'll be hoping for a much better getaway this time, and if he can stay out in the lead, then he becomes the youngest ever leader of a World Championship ever. But as we're not quite at half race distance yet, I don't want to talk about that too much at the moment, but you know, just putting it out there.
Yeah, there's a lot that's still going to happen, I think, in this race. Starting on cold tyres as well. You know, the safety car is pretty slow for an F1 car. These are the hard tyres. And yeah, this track is great for putting heaps of tyres, lots of fast corners, but they're not going fast around them. So first few corners could be tricky.
It certainly could. Right, Ted Kravitz down the pit now. Just looking across to the McLaren pit wall, and they'll be saying, you know, cursing their luck, won't they, with Oscar Piastri, just the same as George Russell. But they do have a thought that if Russell gets past, then they can hang on to P3. That maybe was what they thought they would want to do.
Any thoughts Jimmy's going to go in the place that we trained?
Not sure, George.
But these, I mean, listen, I feel for George, I really do. But I think some of these touchy comments or complaints, you might call them, are not going down well in the Mercedes garage. That's why we heard the response from Toto Wolff saying, George, look, I know you're in charge of the Grand Prix. I know you've taken advantage of Kimi's slow start. I know you might have been set for the win, but these things do happen. And so that's the feeling there. But yeah, down at McLaren, they're cursing their luck as well, but maybe Piastri might end up with a podium after all. Just want to pick up, thanks Ted. We'll go to Bernie Collins in a couple of secs. I want to pick up, Jensen, on that message there from George Russell. The place that we train, have the Mercedes drivers simulating restarts here at Suzuka, do you think?
Yeah, they'll have a position where they are deciding to go, so that they get a jump on the cars around them, and they both know where that is. So let's just hope for George's sake that it is where it's supposed to be, because it's down to Kimi. Kimi can decide.
Yeah, George knows where it is. He just wants to make sure his teammate does as well. Bernie, down to you as the safety car comes in at the end of this lap.
I'll try and be quite quick, but I just wanted to say the closing speed that we heard Ayo mention there between Behrman and Colapinto was 45 kph. Bergman was 45 kph faster than Colapinto, so that is very, very difficult to react. And then the final thing, just to pick up on Ted's point about the Aston Martins going back onto that medium. I think that medium will make the end of the race. And so far from what we've read, we think the medium is a better tyre. So it's good that they've done the legality of getting the hard out of the way and onto the medium for the final stint, because they had a free stop.
Thank you, Bernie Collins.
Okay, we're about to go back to some green flag racing after Ollie Behrman with a monstrous shunt into the wall. Again, as you heard there, Bernie saying, closing speed of nearly 60 k's an hour, which is quite a lot in real terms, but not a lot in an F1 car. But it's hard to react in that situation. Kimi Räikkönen will hold the lead, will hold the pace, and will choose when to go as he continues to weave right down the front straight and in through 130R now. It's going to be important here, trying to get as much temperature into the tyres as humanly possible, though. Kimi Räikkönen now puts his foot down, and we're back to green flag racing, a bit deep on cold tyres there into the Casio triangle. We're back to green here for the Japanese Grand Prix, and immediately Antonelli has pulled nearly a second as we watch at Max trying to look for a move on the outside there, side by side. The Ferrari and the Mercedes, that is Hamilton right around the outside. Max looking around the outside as well on the Alpine. It's not going to happen this time around. We're on the exit of turn 2 though. Max will look for a move, and it's not going to happen either. So Gasly putting on a defensive effort to that Red Bull. But now it's going to be an absolute sprint to the end. Unless, of course, there is a safety car that somehow plays into this overtake enabled. Now, as the race control have confirmed that here with just over 25 laps to go. We're just on the halfway point now of this race. So just past halfway of this race. Now drivers will start to warm the rubber in, and we will start to see the drivers spread out just a little bit. Kimi, though, 1.6 seconds. He's already pulled and starting to show that true pace of that Mercedes as they make their run now through the Spoon Curve section of circuit. We're looking at this battle, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. McLaren would be absolutely fuming after that safety car had been deployed due to the fact that, of course, it's not in their hands. McLaren, again, they will be fuming. They will not be happy that situation had unfolded there for themselves. As we take a look on board with Charles Leclerc, another person that also had sort of been shafted by the safety car. That's why he's dropped down to position 5. He's on the back now of George Russell. Plenty of overtaking being done in this race, though. But yeah, Piastri under pressure by Hamilton, and those Ferraris now off this safety car restart. Seems as if they've fired their tyres up a little bit quicker than what the McLarens have, and these hards will take 4 or 5 laps to start to fire up a little bit for all the other cars. We'll see if, though, the Ferraris, if they can fire their tyres up a little bit quicker than what the other cars have here. But Kimi and Tony, though. Hulkenberg up inside of Bortoleto into, on the up the inside at turn 7. So out of Dunlop, he's actually got that move done there. Hulkenberg up to position 11. Very nice move indeed. Yeah, Kimi Antonelli has pulled nearly 1.7 seconds. That is absolutely insane on these last couple of laps. But again, it's taking a while for this McLaren to turn their tyres on. It's taking them a little bit longer here to try and turn these tyres on. But he's now started to close the gap in 1.3 on that last lap. Now, for Piastri, so now starting to pull away from the 7-time world champ of Lewis Hamilton. Looking on board with Max Verstappen, putting a threat on Pierre Gasly, who currently sits just up in front. He's now taking about 3 laps to put this move on, but can he down this front straight? Doesn't seem like he will, as he turns the battery off and now makes his run up through the S's. 23 laps to go. The first half of this race has absolutely flown by. Of course, you do think that safety car restart that we've just come off of about 2 or 3 laps ago. But yeah, this race is starting to unfold just a little bit more now. Starting to see the pack start to spread out now that a Merc starts to lead this race. See there, Piastri just showing how much he's pushing, trying to pull away from that Ferrari. During, of course, this break that we have after, of course, this Grand Prix, you would think maybe teams like Ferrari and McLaren would close into Mercedes after this month break as we run on board with George Russell. He's closing up on the back of his former teammate Lewis Hamilton in position 3. Getting off of Spoon Curve and getting the run. You can get a good run here. You can actually overtake into 130R. That's, of course, you get an ultimate run on the exit there. Hamilton saying the car ahead keeps going off turn 9 and turn 14. So turn 9 is the second Degner and turn 14 is the exit of Spoon Curve. That is very strange. There, so that's Piastri just up in front. So turn 9, which is the second Degner, which I actually did see Piastri a bit of a slide, ever so slightly, bit of a slide, but Spoon Curve was all right for Piastri. We'll see this time around though, if of course that theory is true. As we head on to lap 31, we're just looking here at Pierre Gasly and Max Verstappen. Lance Stroll now retiring from this race, saying, box now, we have an issue. And that's another issue. Colapinto and Behrman reviewed no further action in that incident at Spoon Curve. So no further investigation for that. Stroll out of this race with an issue. And for the 4th time. Third time. This year, we will have another Aston Martin now. You would only think Fernando Alonso would be close to retiring. Can finally Aston Martin, well, at least they've passed the halfway mark when you think of China. They only got about 10 laps in before retiring. But yeah, they've been on the back foot, Aston Martin. They've been on the back foot practically the whole year, so far, in terms of racing. Haven't got many racing laps, haven't even got many practice laps, if I'm being completely honest with you. Nor have they got many. They've literally, all they've done is like 3 qualifying sessions and maybe 1 practice session. They've not completed a race so far this year. 21 to go though. Kimi Antonelli has pulled the gap out now. Piastri maybe burnt a bit more of his battery on the last 4 laps or so. It's now 3 seconds the gap, and it's now 1 second the gap, Piastri to Hamilton. 21 laps to go left in this race. 3.1 seconds the gap. Hadjar, a bit of a slide on the exit of the second part of the S. I think it's turn 6. He had a bit of a slide, possibly. Sorry, no, I stand corrected. That's turn 3 here, that slide. As he chases down Bortoleto. Yeah, Bortoleto, he does have fresher tyres, so I would think it might be a bit of a struggle for Hadjar in terms of traction-wise to try and get by. You would think Bortoleto has a bit more rubber underneath him to keep that position. Also, maybe depends on the battery as well. Battery, a big play. Of course, removing the MGU-H this year. It's a big play in racing terms. But Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, they sit line as stern. This is the battle we've been focusing on within the last 3 or 4 laps of this race. It's been the battle that has just sort of been brewing ever so slowly. Turn 16 now, the cars make their run through Casio Triangle, and out the other side, then it's onto the front straight. They will go. There's the gap between Kimi Antonelli and Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri burnt a bit of battery on that last lap, possibly. So now Hamilton has closed back up. So it's sort of a bit of ebb and flow at this point. Piastri pulls away, Hamilton closes back in. We take a look at a replay of Nico Hülkenberg into the triangle this lap around, I think it was. And that was actually going straight on. Who's in front of Hülkenberg? I think it's his teammate, Gabriel Bortoleto. It's now giving him the chance. So it's Liam Lawson who's gotten the chance and has taken that chance as Nico Hülkenberg and up the inside of Liam Lawson. Getting that move done very, very nicely. With 20 laps to go left in the Japanese Grand Prix. This race is starting to flow into a bit of a rhythm, must I admit here. So, currently looking at the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton. We're now on board with George Russell as he makes his run into Spoon Curve. This is turn 13. Use the apron on the outside, get to the apex at turn 13. Use the apron on the outside, back to turn 14. And the track is gripping up, so they will start to find that they can hit apexes a lot easier. I don't think at any point throughout this race you will make 130R flat. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. You've halved the downforce, though, so with the track rubbering in, there might be a bit of a difference. I suppose we'll see. 34 laps gone. We're now got 19 laps to go. Kimi Antonelli, can he go back-to-back? Kimi, though, he's absolutely stormed away here. George Russell now closing ever so slightly onto the back of Lewis Hamilton. And with this battling going on, Piastri's pulled a gap of 1.1 seconds. But will that gap be obliterated? If Hamilton can, of course, try and catch back up to Piastri. We'll have to wait and find out. Hadjar almost sitting on the back of Bortoleto at this point. Lap 34 of this race. Now there is Oscar Piastri making his run through. Out of the second Degner and up to the hairpin they go. The margin out in front though, 4.3 seconds. 4.33 seconds the gap. Piastri starting to pull away now. It's close back to 1 second. It seems like this is McLaren's full pace. I think McLaren at this point are going full pace, and they seem to be struggling. Hamilton has saved battery here because he's starting to close in and pull away from George Russell. It's nearly a second. Maybe George has burnt a bit too much battery in the last maybe 4 laps or so. That's what I would think at this point. Again, though, 19 laps to go. Anything can happen. 4.5 seconds the gap now, Antonelli to Piastri. And what this will do, if there is a safety car, for example, again, it will close the margins back up. And all that effort that Kimi would have used to, well, all that tyre, all that battery that he would have used would have been in the bin now. So that margin would have closed all the way back up if there was to be a safety car. The reason why I had a bit of a high-pitched voice then is because Hadjar had closed right up onto the back of Gabriel Bortoleto and will close once more into turn number 1. Backs out, though, rethinks of it into turn 1. As he will make his run through the S's and will go another lap, maybe just sticking in behind. Yeah, we're starting now to see the whole it's hard to overtake thing start to come into play here. The whole hard to overtake thing is starting to become a big factor in this race. Piastri struggling for rear grip here. See, actually had a bit of a slide on the exit at turn 11 there. So that does seem like Oscar Piastri is struggling for rear grip at this point in the race. But it is quite early for those tyres to drop off. Again, he has been pushing for quite a while. So maybe those tyres have hit a bit of a drop-off point in this race. We will have to wait and find out. But with 18 laps to go, I suppose it'll take a while to see that really evolve. Yeah, that whole concept of it being hard to overtake is I'm starting to see what they mean by it's hard to overtake around here. Because it's starting to show, let me tell you that much. George Russell now to the outside. Turn 1, not going to happen on Hamilton. Hamilton doing just enough to keep the position. To George Russell, who just currently sits up in P4. Hadjar now getting the move done on Gabriel Bortoleto into turn 1. And I think it's going to be a bit of a momentum run. If you can get a good exit on... Oh, Jesus Christ. Speak of a jump scare. If you can get a good run, you'll be fine. If you can't, you're screwed. Please don't die. Thank you. Oh, heck. It died. Okay. That's amazing. It's just beautiful. But, yeah, bit of a slide there on the exit again from Oscar Piastri. As we look on board from Lewis Hamilton, getting pressurised by George Russell at the moment. He's been a threat, but hasn't been a big threat. Hulkenberg, top speed down that front straight, 217 miles an hour. Hadjar in second, Cole Pinto in third, but 350 kilometres an hour. That is quite a lot from that Audi. So the Audi seems to have good straight line speed. The Audi engine in the back of it. Yeah, 16 laps to go. It's now starting to come into a bit of a sprint race now. Hulkenberg with that straight line speed, looking on his teammate for position 12. George Russell looks for a threat on Hamilton. Not going to happen. Is this going to be the battle that we will see within the last 10 laps of this race? Antonelli has pulled away nearly 6 seconds now to Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri's pulled away from Hamilton. 1.3 seconds is the gap as these two continue to battle for third and fourth on the road. Yeah, this does seem like it's going to be the battle to the end of the Grand Prix. Up to this point, it is 6 seconds the gap. Antonelli to Piastri. And now you're starting to see here, Leclerc is closing in as well. I think he's been there, but just hasn't been close enough to actually launch a move. There, as we look. Oh, George Russell, has he had a mistake? Yes, George Russell's had a big mistake. He's had a snap. Big snap.
An issue, doesn't it? Because it's not like he had an oversteer or an understeer moment. It just, the car lost power and then got straight overtaken by the Ferrari.
That is a big problem.
Yeah, I was just looking at that clock because I wanted to look at what happened into turn 1. It was actually 40 kph up and Piastri into turn 1. And I don't know if just using that power meant on that straight that he had to regain it back. But you see a sudden loss in speed, as you discussed, and he loses, let me just check, around 50 kph, and then on the final straight, it looks good again. So it looks like it's recovered whatever the issue was just in the that turn.
Well, maybe he's used it.
Yeah, maybe he's just used a bit too much of his battery. So maybe a battery problem starting to creep in for the Mercedes car of George Russell. Big snap as well on the exit of the S's. Those tyres are starting to fall off. Just 17 laps, or maybe even 16 laps into the stint for George. I think he boxed a bit earlier than that, so maybe they're even 21 laps old. Are these hard compound tyres? He has to go another 15 laps on these, so they're going to be they're going to be graining quite badly, let me tell you that much. But George is struggling with pace here. He's being dropped by the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc. Nearly a second the gap now. So, is it starting to become a bit of a problem here? This is starting to become quite a problem. He's being dropped. Let's take a look at the replay. George Russell. Up on the top left of your screen. Yep, he's just lost power. George Russell had lost power and gained it back again. So I thought it was a big snap of oversteer, but I stand corrected. It was not. Yep, so it wasn't a big snap of oversteer. It was just the fact that he lost power overall there. So 14 laps to go now. Oscar Piastri sitting in second position. 7 seconds up the road is Kimi Antonelli. And what looks to be like he's got this race in the bag. Again, still got 14 laps to go though, so anything can happen in Formula 1. Again, it is Formula 1, so we'll wait and find out. Let's send it up to Sky Sports F1.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Charles now. He's got a bit of clean air, obviously catching up with Lewis in front, but he's done his best lap time of the race, actually going quickest in the middle sector for anyone. So it'll be interesting to see if we have any team orders here in Ferrari.
And for Lewis Hamilton, who had to wait 26 Grand Prix for a first podium for Ferrari, a bit like Kimi Antonelli in wins, you wait a while and then two come in all at once. Back-to-back podiums on the cards for Hamilton, back-to-back victories on the cards for Antonelli, and a Grand Prix that's going pretty well for Oscar Piastri. It'll be another happy podium at this rate, Kravitz.
Well, there's lots to go left. I mean, particularly this Ferrari fight. Leclerc clearly quicker than Lewis Hamilton at the moment. Oh, the McLaren pit was back in action. That's good. But Ferrari, Lewis feeling that he's just down on power on the straights, not as quick as those around him on the straights, and particularly Leclerc pressuring from behind. So Ferrari going to let them race for the moment. I think there might be a bit of fireworks in a lap or two.
Well, we have seen a lot of fireworks from the Ferraris, but I'm going to go back to the more you squabble and drivers using boost their own way rather than the optimum way, the more it hurts your lap times, the more it makes you vulnerable to the car behind, and when you're a team, Jensen, you can control things a bit.
Yeah, you can, and when it's 500 horsepower, yeah, it's very easy to get a little greedy, and it could really bite you, but I kind of feel that George has to be trying stuff right now, because he's getting frustrated stuff behind the Ferraris.
Certainly is. Mercedes on for a win then, and a podium with Kimi Antonelli that will take him third in the all-time list. The podiums in Formula 1, 314 point podiums so far. This will be a 315th. They'll move ahead of Williams behind McLaren and Ferrari, who the two cars are running very close together, but none of the fireworks we saw in Shanghai just yet. Pierre Gasly still keeping Max Verstappen at bay. Liam Lawson has Esteban Ocon in close contention, but he's on for a second points finish in a row after his exploits last time out in Shanghai.
We are losing a bit of time for your info.
Copy that, Charles. Yeah, and whilst Lewis Hamilton says he's losing power on the straights, Charles Leclerc will be saying, yeah, we're losing a bit of time here. I worry about the guy in front, and are they allowing the Ferraris to race? Yes. I was about to say, are they allowing Charles Leclerc to get past Lewis Hamilton? No, because he slammed the door well and truly shut in his teammate's face there.
Yeah, he was looking in the mirror, wasn't he, before 130R, Lewis? And I thought it was maybe because they were going to make him let Charles pass, but no, blocking, love it.
This is Ferrari racing, ladies and gentlemen, which we might not always have seen in the history of Formula One, but we are very much seeing it in 2026. And this is what George Russell wants to see. He wants to see the Ferrari squabbling, because with that will come opportunities. As for Lando Norris, he's just put in a personal best lap of this race. He's under 2 seconds behind George Russell and has the opportunity to close in. His tyres are 5 laps older than George Russell's. Charles Leclerc's 4 laps older than George Russell. Lewis Hamilton, his tyres, because he stopped behind the safety car, 5 laps younger than his teammate Charles Leclerc. So should, in theory, be getting a bit more grip than his teammate at this moment.
Yeah, it should be. It's an interesting. Now that Lewis does have a clear run in front of him, we might see him picking up the pace and actually pulling away a little bit from his teammate Charles.
So if Lewis Hamilton's losing time on the straights, when is he picking up time? I'm told by Carlos Santi, his race engineer, you're picking it up in the corners. As there are 18 corners, there's a fair amount of time you can pick up.
It is, yeah. I have to say, Pierre Gasly again is quick. You know, his pace is similar.
Here goes Charles Leclerc on Lewis Hamilton. This time he's almost getting alongside. Once again almost touching, and once again staying behind Lewis Hamilton. Later on the break, Charles Leclerc, Hamilton defending well, and then I think using his boost button to get a better exit out of the corner. But now Charles Leclerc using more of that boost to try and get ahead into turn 1. Charles Leclerc is almost ahead, and once again the Ferrari's almost coming together, and Leclerc this time does make that overtake stick. That was very, very close to 2 Ferraris taking themselves out of the race. But well done, brilliant racing, and Charles Leclerc's up to 3rd.
Beautiful racing. What a show they were putting on for everyone in turn 1 and turn 2. That is seriously quick, that section.
Yeah.
Very easy to get it wrong when you're that close racing your teammate, but great racing.
And now Lewis Hamilton looks very vulnerable to George Russell behind him. George Russell has never finished in the top 4 at Suzuka in his career. Charles Leclerc, 155 miles an hour as you go into turn 1. The speed slows down to about 120 miles an hour when he got past his teammate. That was fully committed. And I don't know how much Fred Vasseur saw of that overtake, but I reckon if he did, it was peeking through the fingers of his hand and not wanting to watch any of it.
I think Lewis might have made a tiny mistake there. When you look at the rear lights on his car, they were flashing for a lot longer, so it looked like he took longer to cancel the D-rate of the power. And you know, that gave Charles a bit more of an advantage.
So he had the overtake mode, of course, Charles Leclerc. He had an extra couple of tenths advantage on that half a megajoule, and that certainly would have helped him through. He's just asking the team, just check the rear right of my car, just in case there was a bit of contact there. I just want to make sure. Now, Lewis Hamilton has got overtake mode. George Russell's got overtake mode. George Russell's got overtaking on his mind. Hamilton's losing power down the straights once again, as you can see. And George Russell has popped his Mercedes up into 4th place. By the time we see the cars going through turn 3 and 4, Russell is ahead. And I think that's a move he critically had to make too, to follow then Charles Leclerc. And for both of them, to try and get a bit closer to Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, really important move and a great move and a very grown-up move. When he was on the outside of turn 2, he gave Lewis a lot of room there. It's very difficult to see when the car is on the inside. He gave him room, and then he turned into turn 3 and he was in front.
So, Lewis Hamilton with frustrations at being overtaken twice in 2 laps. I'll have to get his mind set on defending once again, because next up is Lando Norris, kind of queuing up to have an attack and a move on the Ferraris here. And the top 6 now about 5.5 seconds clear in terms of Norris of Pierre Gasly, who's running his race with Max Verstappen and not necessarily a threat. In fact, in about 3 laps time, I reckon, our race leader would have a free pit stop back to Pierre Gasly. Such is the distance he's put between 1st and 7th in this race. Not that he wants to take that pit stop. He's got 20 laps on these tyres, and they're doing very nicely indeed. He's lapping in the mid-132s, and he's on lap 44 of this race.
Yeah, he is. Antonelli just done the quickest lap of the race, 32.5. Wow.
Well, here's the thing, Oscar Piastri is a second slower on that lap than Kimi Antonelli. Now, Charles Leclerc, 3 tenths faster, than Oscar Piastri. George Russell, 7/10 faster than Oscar Piastri. And Piastri could be a bit vulnerable in this race, given that he's been on those tyres for 25 laps now.
Yeah, and they've all had some issues. They've been fighting at Sherburne and they've dropped back a bit from Oscar, but now they are on a run. They're chasing him down, 2 seconds behind at the moment.
Oscar might be managing and might be just conserving things a little bit. It wouldn't be the first time we've ever seen Oscar Piastri do that. That with the resting heartbeats of about 8 a minute, same as a crocodile, quite frankly. Nice and relaxed about the situation. And Ted Kravitz holding on the second place currently.
Yeah, despite losing out big time under the safety car, of course. A great drive from Piastri. What might have been, Crofty, we'll talk about it after the race. Could Piastri have won this race? One of the many imponderables in Formula One. But an imponderable of what's happening at Red Bull Racing is that Max Verstappen's on the radio saying, I tell you what, Gasly's quick, this Alpine is quick. So even though he's half a second behind him, can't seem to pass at the moment. But Hadjar is shaping up. He's quicker by a tenth or two than Esteban Ocon. And Hadjar, also losing out under the safety car, wants to try and nick P10 of his countryman Esteban Ocon. Ocon will be defending that, because of course still without a point is Ocon in this season. Wants to put that right today.
This time last year, Max Verstappen would have been cruising up behind Pierre Gasly and would have blasted past him with the aid of blue flags and would have gone on to lap him. Verstappen on his way to victory, having won the last 4 Japanese Grand Prix. Gasly on his way to 13th and another afternoon outside of the points. What a difference a year makes.
Yeah, definitely. The only positive I can think for Max is he's a racer. He loves it. He loves the battle, and he's definitely having one with
Right, we can see the live shots. Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Hamilton out-braking himself into the chicane. Big lock up there in his tyres behind his teammate, and Russell still ahead of Lando Norris, but you don't want to be doing many more late-braking, locking up moves like that.
Yeah, that could hurt the tyre quite a bit. Yeah, he had to run on there. It wasn't through choice. Just didn't have the braking.
Any stick of the position?
I'd like to see that off board and see how close Lando Norris was to Lewis Hamilton, as to whether by locking up and going straight on, Lewis kept that position, or had he stayed on the track, whether Norris would have got past him. Either way, the stewards are having a little look at it and wondering whether that, they should investigate a bit more, because it has been noted. It's one of these things, you can be ahead and lock up, leave the track, stay ahead, and still gain an advantage by doing that.
You can. It was just minimum. I mean, minimal advantage. For me, it was, you know, if he's alongside him or close to alongside him or pressuring him, I get it. I just couldn't see him on the track. You know, all I saw was the onboard from Lewis, which was him locking up. I didn't know where Lando was next to him.
Remember Miami a few years ago, Fernando Alonso went straight through the chicane under the bridge. So I did nothing wrong, and then the steward said, well actually, you gave back 1.5 seconds, you gained 3. So yes, you did. They've got all the timing, all the details, and they can sort it all out. So Lewis has been noted there for that. Hadjar is now is 10th. Nico Hülkenberg is gaining on Isaac Hadjar into the first corner. He can still fight this Hülkenberg through turn 1, through turn 2. Hadjar's gone very, very wide. He's really struggling out there. And just as the track starts to wind uphill through the S's, Hadjar completes the defence and keeps Hülkenberg at bay for that little bit longer. Hülkenberg's tyres 4 laps fresher than the Red Bulls.
He's really quick through turn 6, is Hülkenberg. Really impressive. I think Hadjar did the right thing there. You know, he gave him enough room, didn't want an incident. He knows it's very difficult for Nico to get past into turn 3.
So, 23% say Oscar Piastri is the driver of the day, 18% say Kimi Antonelli, and 12% say Charles Leclerc. And you've got about 5 laps left to vote in that one. There are a lot of Oscar Piastri fans here at Suzuka, as George Russell closes up on Charles Leclerc into the chicane, 4 of which have come dressed as kangaroos. They might be jumping for joy, not just to see Oscar racing at a Grand Prix, but finishing on the podium here today. We'll see. George Russell has the overtake mode, bit of extra energy in his fight with Charles Leclerc. Could George Russell yet finish on the podium here at Suzuka? Now these two have cleared Lewis Hamilton. They've cleared it by some margin now. The fight is on pretty much, I think, neck and neck for the rest of this race for that final podium place.
Yeah, if you look at the lap times, take Kimi's lap time. He's 4/10 quicker, average really, quicker than Charles Leclerc. So the Mercedes is 4/10 quicker. It's just whether that's enough to make a move. We'll have to see from Georgia.
We shall see. Blue flags being waved for Fernando Alonso currently out on track. His teammate Lance Stroll retired from this race. I don't think we brought you the details of why Lance Stroll did retire from this race. A suspected water pressure issue, which they're having a little look at. Alonso's still going in this race. Lap 47.53 as Ollie Ben makes his way carefully back into the Haas garage. He's still limping a little bit. But that was a big crash, 50G impact, and it's great to see him back in the garage and looking not too worse than wear for it. Through 130R, Hamilton under pressure from Norris, Leclerc under pressure from George Russell. Leclerc stays ahead, Hamilton doesn't. Lando Norris under braking, gets that move done into the chicane, and as he does that, the stewards say no further investigation of that. Did Lewis lead the track and gain an advantage? But this overtake's going to carry on, and Lando using a little bit too much of boost power, then suffers for it as Hamilton goes into turn one a bit further ahead than he probably was on the last lap.
Yeah, McLaren had actually told Lando to attack Lewis into the last chicane because that's where he's been struggling for the last few laps. He did, he just used a little bit too much to make that move, but it was good all the same.
Let's just have a little look here because we can see this emerging in the distance while we watch Leclerc and Russell. 130R round the outside, there goes Lando Norris, and he's thinking, brilliant, I got the job done. But he hasn't.
You could tell by the difference in speed that he'd used a lot. Yeah, he was actually past them before they got to the braking of the last chicane.
13 seconds, the gap between Antonelli and Piastri. Bottas moves out of the way for George Russell and gets lapped by him. I was talking about Alonso before we saw those overtakes. 48 laps into this race. Are Aston Martin going to complete a race distance today for the first time this season? And I'm not sure whether Fernando Alonso's managed to hold on to the wheel for every part of those 48 laps or not, or he was taking his hands off like he did in Shanghai. But that would be something of an achievement. And a low bar has been set down at Aston Martin for their struggles this year. They're still in this race and ahead of Albon and ahead of Bottas. Albon, who has pitted 4 times.
Is he coming back out, or is that it for Albon?
No.
He's just leaving the pits now.
He's coming back out and he's basically running this as a test session to say, right, I'm going to do everything you ask me. I'm going to run this as a test session, then we'll see where the issues might be. Because he suspects it's more mechanical than driver, given the form so far this year. Down to Ted in the pit lane.
They're doing all sorts. This kind of reminds me, wasn't it Donington 93 where Alan Prost pitted like 12 times or something?
Yeah.
And a Williams as well. It kind of reminds me of that. But yes, he's coming in, they're doing practice pit stop, having a cup of tea, going back out again, coming in again, adjusting the front flap, going back out again. So yes, Crofty, a test session for Alex. Yes.
Pierre Gasly, Max Verstappen still having a tussle. Verstappen, I think, did get ahead.
And then he got passed again.
And then he got passed again at the turn one. But, former teammates, of course, and I'm sure enjoying the fight. Pierre Gasly, if he can hold him in 7th place, will very much enjoy that. Finished 6th, of course, in Shanghai, finished 10th in Australia. Gasly's on for his 3rd points finish of the season. In an Alpine car that took rather a long time to get points last season. Here comes George Russell behind Charles Leclerc. Nothing doing on that occasion. This could go right down to the wire, some of these scraps. And don't forget, on the last, once you cross the line, get the checkered flag. Doesn't matter how much battery you've got, the race has got, so you might as well drain it all. So stand by for a bit of a last lap, array from all the drivers.
Yeah, I think the Charles and George battle and the Pierre and Max battle looking good. Ocon in the top 10, possibly taking home his first points of the season, which is good for him.
Could have been more. Had he won the timing of the pit stops with the safety car. He pitted just before, I think, the safety car came out. Piastri did the same, Leclerc did the same, George Russell did the same, and so did Lando Norris for Antonelli and for Hamilton. They pitted under the safety car, made places. In terms of Lewis Hamilton's progress, it's dropping away. In terms of Kimi Antonelli's progress, it's like, just bring the car home now. This is done and dusted for you.
But he's not. He's just pumping in the lap times. 32.4, he's half a second quicker than anyone, and or almost a second quicker than his teammate, who's obviously in traffic, but still, it's very impressive.
I'm not comparing him to them just yet, because, you know, quite frankly, Kimi Antonelli's only had 27 starts, and he's on his way to just his second Grand Prix win. But that's what Max Verstappen used to do. You know, Max, you're 36 hours out in front, just bring it home. No, there's another fastest lap, as here goes George Russell on Charles Leclerc into the chicane. Right, Russell is up into the podium places. Now, as Lando Norris does the same thing to Lewis Hamilton, Russell this time gets a better exit, but now going down the main straight. Can Charles Leclerc fight this one back again? He's going to try, you know. He's going to try the outside of turn one. That's brilliant from Charles Leclerc.
Wow.
Oh, hats off to you, Charles, for that one. Absolutely fantastic. And while he does that to George, Lewis Hamilton does that to Lando. The Ferraris almost in sync, losing a place and gaining it back again.
Beautiful move. Brave stuff by Charles going around the outside there. That was really late. Impressive.
Oh, proper commitment there from Charles Leclerc. What I wanted to say was, Kimi Antonelli, Sebastian Vettel used to do the same thing. Max did the same thing. Bring it home, take it easy. No, let's have another fastest lap of the race. I like to see that in the driver.
He's got one speed.
Yeah,
and that's great. Yeah. But this battle is not over. We've got 2 laps left. I think we're going to have 2 more challenges from George.
Yeah, but here's the thing. On the last lap, after that, you don't get a turn 1. Yeah. So if you're Charles Leclerc, you're going to have to think about where you boost to stay ahead, right?
Well, they'll be emptying. They'll be trying to empty it. The problem is, if you empty too much, you get nothing at that last corner, and you can overtake to the line.
Stand by, hold on to your hats. Fernando Alonso can see the Ferrari in his mirrors and will make way for the Ferrari as Charles Leclerc goes past, and now George Russell, who's just going to bide his time a little bit before we get to the final lap, bit or couple of laps, as Lando Norris goes down the inside on Lewis Hamilton once again. And has he got that 5th place? Yes. For the time being, 2 laps to go. Lando Norris down the main straight, powering his way past our commentary box as he does so. But can he hold to that 5th place going into turn 1? Looks like this time he's got the job done and he's made the move stick.
Oh, that was a lovely move. He obviously judged it just right in the amount of deployment he used. But great move. You can see him looking in the mirrors, can you? Left, right. Which side is Lewis going to come? But he didn't.
He didn't. So Lando up into the top 5. McLaren had completed a lap in the Grand Prix in the top 4 this season before today. Lando finished 5th in Australia. Looks like he's going to finish 5th here as Jack Black, Bowser, waits to wave the checkered flag. There is no one better here at the racetrack this weekend than Jack Black to wave the black and white checkered flag for our winner. And it's looking like Kimi Antonelli is going to make it back-to-back wins. If I could quite, Jack Black's a bit of an old rocker. It's kind of a back-to-back in black, isn't it, for Kimi Antonelli and Jack? I'm trying to think of song titles to go with.
That's unusual for you.
My life is one big song title. Here comes George Russell making the overtake. Is he on Charles Leclerc? No, he's not. We're on the last lap now with Kimi Antonelli. We're coming up to the last lap for George Russell and Charles Leclerc scrapping for the final podium place. Oscar Piastri in second to give McLaren their first podium of the season. The top 4 cars separate as well. The top 2 down to 4, separated by about 3 seconds here, and that is absolutely nothing. Antonelli's checked out, our race leader. He's going to be our race winner through the Dayton's one more time. Comes to Suzuka, and on the verge of history is about to deliver. A teenager, Jenson Button, will be leading the Formula 1 World Championship.
Yeah, the only thing that he's done wrong this weekend was that start, but I'm not sure that was his fault. But he's been just consistent, as I said before, driving within himself. He looks confident, consistent, and yeah, very impressive for someone his age, for anyone.
Through Spoon Curve, he goes. He was down to P6 at the end of the first lap, but it ain't where you start, it's where you finish. And yes, the safety car helped him a bit with strategy, but once he got the lead, he has not looked like relinquishing it here at Suzuka today. His first victory as a Grand Prix driver in Shanghai 2 weeks ago. He's going to follow it up with victory here at Suzuka. The teenager from the Wolfpack proves the cup can win, and Kimi Antonelli is victorious at Suzuka and will be the youngest ever leader of a Formula One World Championship ever at 19 years and 216 days. Oscar Piastri, in his first Grand Prix of the season, comes home for second place. Charles Leclerc just holds off George Russell to take the final podium place. Max Verstappen is still battling away with Pierre Gasly as Norris finishes 5th and Hamilton finishes 6th. Oh, and Max Verstappen with an almighty save towards the line to keep his car on the tarmac, but behind Gasly, 7th for the Alpine driver, 8th for Verstappen from 11th on the grid. Liam Lawson will take 9th ahead of Esteban Ocon, and they're still scrapping away.
Good effort, man. Good effort.
Yes, man. Woo! Let's go, man. Oh. I was lucky with the safety car, but pace was unbelievable at the end.
Yeah, pace was really good on that hard time, mate. But yeah, we definitely dodged the bullet today.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks to all the boys and girls in Brackley and Brixworth. What a car. Thank you so much.
Well, that is a very, very happy young man, and so he should be. If luck, if you get fortune and a bit of luck, and you're brave as well, and you're talented as well, it all comes together with a package like this.
It does. And I'm not going to take anything away from Melbourne or Shanghai.
Well done, Oscar. Checkered flag. Great job. P2. Not think I'd be sat here frustrated that the safety car cost you a win, but that is a really phenomenal weekend. Amazing job.
Wow. Turns out when we start these things, we're pretty good. Well done, everybody. That was a great weekend. Yeah, we've still got a bit of time to find, but yeah, well done, everybody. We deserve that, so thank you. And let's find some more pace, and we'll be doing this a hell of a lot more often. Thanks.
It's a funny battle, yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, sorry, about Kimi, you know, the first 2 races of the year, it doesn't matter, it's a race win. It's very important, but this race, Suzuka, the fast-flowing nature of this track, it's an impressive place to win at. It's someone that has the experience of Kimi.
Just looking here at the Ferrari McLaren battle, that's Lando Norris, how he got past Lewis Hamilton, and then Hamilton, for me, overtaking the race, this one. Wow. Absolutely superb. That one,
copy,
yeah,
Charles.
Joint one, Charles Leclerc doing the same on George Russell as well. 2 Ferraris into that corner, getting the move.
Bravo, Charles. Bravo.
Let's go. I wish it was for a week, but not good. For the top race with a lucky safety car.
Yeah, that was a great drive.
People point to the safety car, and yes, Kimi Antonelli benefited from it, but he was making overtakes, and he was gaining, and he was catching on Piastri, who was leading before the safety car came out. What we won't know is how long he could have extended that for.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you would have said that George was in the best spot up behind Oscar Piastri to have a go at the win for Mercedes, but yeah, didn't go his way. Unlucky, but some of them you just got to take it when you can.
George pitted on lap 22. Kimi Antonelli went into the lead. Then we had almost immediately the Ollie Behrman crash. Cheap pit stop for Kimi Antonelli. A job done, and he never ever looked like rescinding that lead. 2 drivers didn't finish. Lance Stroll with a water pressure issue, and Ollie Behrman with that 50G impact after getting onto the grass and moving out of the way of Franco Colapinto, who was losing a lot of speed, and down that straight towards Spoon. And, well, we'll speak to Ollie, I'm sure, and hopefully he'll be, after a month's rest, A-OK to come back racing again. Oh, hello.
Oh, it's good to
He's been practicing from Usain Bolt or something, isn't it? An arrow there from Kimi Antonelli. who's kind of going to get used to this now. This has been a really interesting weekend for me, Jensen. You know, you said it before the start of the race. He's looked happier, he's looked calmer, he's been driving within himself with confidence as well, and a confidence that only a Grand Prix win brings you.
Yeah, and you know, I think going into this race, I would have said George is the one to beat. But now he's got a true challenger in his teammate Kimi, with the confidence he has. Top three different teams, which is nice to see. Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari all performing pretty well out there.
Yeah, by far McLaren's best Grand Prix of the season. I mean, not that you couldn't get much worse than Shanghai. As they joked to me before the start of the race, look, if we're there at the end of lap 1, it's 100% better than it was a fortnight ago. But actually, that was a fine weekend. Could Oscar Piastri have won the race?
Well, his first race start, and he finishes second. Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad at all. And that's something we'll never know. The safety car, you know, robbed us of that battle. But Oscar Piastri was looking pretty good.
He seemed, he obviously didn't have the pace. They don't have the pace in the car from Mercedes, but he was controlling the race really well. And there was every opportunity for him to take away this victory without that safety car.
Charles Leclerc, third today for Ferrari, who are 45 points behind Mercedes in that Constructors' Championship. He's 23 points behind this man, Kimi Antonelli, in the Drivers' Championship. 19 years, 216 days old. I mean, you were young when you came into this sport. I think you were 20.
I was just 20, yeah. But I just don't. It's surprising. It's so relaxed. So you've just won your second Grand Prix.
You're leading the World Championship.
This is F1. This is as big as it gets. But I'm sure he's saving the emotion for when he actually sees the people that make it happen, the team.
Yeah, thanking Brixworth and Brackley, where they make the power units and where they make the chassis as well. And there are plenty of Kimi Antonelli fans around the world that have tuned in to that young man's talent. And it's a talent that we're now seeing on top of the podiums. 30 years ago, the fans here were acknowledging Damon Hill as a world champion. 30 years on, the champ has returned to Suzuka, and I'm told he's got the microphone in his hand, and he's going to be talking to the top three in a few moments' time.
Kimi Antonelli, congratulations. You are officially the youngest ever person to lead a Formula 1 World Championship. Do you have anything to say?
It feels pretty good. Of course, it's still early to think about the championship, but we're on the good way. Me in the race had a terrible start. Just need to check what happened, but then I was lucky with the safety car to be in the lead. But then the pace was just incredible, and you know, was really nice. Second stint, I felt very good with the car, and very pleased with that.
Yeah, because the man next to you, Oscar, there, he swamped you at the start. You made a bad start. You said to Toto, apparently you're going to practice your clutches.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I got 3 weeks, so now I can practice some clutch drops just to get a better feel with it, because definitely it's been a weak point so far this year, and yeah, I need to improve that, because you can easily win or lose races with that.
But you were working way back up through the field anyway, weren't you? And then you had the safety car came out, which really handed you the lead. But after that, you looked absolutely masterful, totally in control.
Yeah, I think obviously we were very lucky with the safety car, but on the medium we were really strong once I got some free air, and then on the hard the pace was just incredible. So I don't know what it would have happened, how the outcome would have been without the safety car, but yeah, definitely was made my life a lot easier.
I'll come back to you in a second. Oscar, you finally got a race in. Yeah, so, and at one time you were saying that you thought you were comfortable and you could possibly hang on to the position, but then you had the safety car.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened without that. I think, yeah, I could keep George behind, and just before the stops we're actually pulling away a little bit again. So, yeah, a shame that we never got to see what would have happened, but I think for us at this point to be disappointed about finishing second is a pretty good place to be. So yeah, massive thanks to the team. I think we did a really good job of executing with what we had. I think we clearly still need to find a bit of performance, but yeah, we took every opportunity we had today.
Well, it was closer anyway, wasn't it, than not even getting a race, but well done for that. And Charles, also fighting third place, you had to do everything you could to hang on to it. You got a bit of pressure there from George at the end.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sweaty one, this one. Obviously, with the safety car, we got a little bit unlucky. So from that moment onwards, I knew I was a little bit on the back foot, especially compared to Kimi and Lewis. But then I was like, okay, let's keep pushing. Let's try to keep those tires and bring them to the end. And actually, it wasn't that as much of a disadvantage as I thought. The tires were actually pretty good. The few laps that I had done wasn't so bad. It's just that we lost few positions. And then, yeah, it was quite a fun race. Just not quite enough to get Oscar, but yeah, it was a cool race.
Well done. And Kimi, we've got a little bit of a gap. You're going to practice your clutches, but this is it. You won in Suzuka, one of the great tracks on the set. Have you got a few words to say for the Japanese fans?
Yeah, I'm very happy to have won in such a special track in front of these amazing fans. I think driving and racing here is a unique experience, and yeah, really looking forward to come back next year. Arigato.
Well, Kimi, congratulations, and we'll be back in Miami in about 4 or 5 weeks' time, I bet it is.
Well done, champ. Yes, we've got a bit of a break now. We will be back in Miami, ladies and gentlemen, at the start of May. Friday the 1st, Saturday the 2nd, Sunday the 3rd of May for the Miami Grand Prix. I know it says the 22nd and 24th there, but that's Canada. And the 1st and the 3rd is Miami, definitely. Otherwise, Jensen, I'll book the wrong flight and I'll be in the wrong part of North America. We just go and spend some time on the beach then.
Yeah, I'll see you in Miami as well. I'll be there.
Come on, well, a Hawaiian shirt. I've got a special one just for this year.
Hawaiian shirt in Miami.
Who'd have thought it? Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Loud shirt. There is a lot of work to be done between now and Miami. You mentioned 3 different constructors in the top 3. This is a development race this season, and I think from a sporting context, Ferrari, McLaren probably will benefit by not having a couple of races between now and Miami. Mercedes might have thought, actually, we're in a healthy position. We're going to be at a disadvantage from that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then there's also the advantage that Mercedes, there's no reason that Mercedes is going to stand still. I think for all the teams, it kind of is helpful because, parts is a big thing, especially this season, and some of the teams have had big shunts, Ollie Behrman having a big one today. It does help them make more parts, so they are a bit more flush with parts when they go to Miami.
No brakes, just send. I see, without the brakes, you can't top up the battery, and then you can't use it to boost out the corner. That's just the way it is in 2026. On that one, we'll hear from the drivers in the cool-down room right now, shall we? The man you might not recognise, Giacomo Tortora from Mercedes, who is their Director of Car Design, going up to receive the Constructors' Trophy.
His tactics actually followed pretty close.
Yeah.
Still can't overtake. You could follow.
I think also he gained a lot from overtake mode, no?
I'm not sure here, to be honest, because when Lewis was behind, or even when George was behind, they didn't gain that much.
That's a start. Yeah, no, actually we've got a pretty similar start. If anything, we've got similar. But yeah, your deployment was very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. Like, for me, it was the biggest difference since the beginning of the year with the deployment. So,
but like into turn 1, I couldn't get. I was like on boost everything. I couldn't get. But then I was like, oh my god.
What?
I finally see what you mean about the mushroom. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate.
Look now.
What happened there?
It looks like it was on a charger mode.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a close one. No, but here, it came back.
Oh my god.
We touched.
I thought I had a control.
Yeah, we're like, you were deploying more into 13, and then we were deploying more into 16 compared to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, not every lap.
No.
Some laps, you guys were deploying a lot into turn 1. Like, George was flying into turn 1.
Well, we were changing a bit strat modes. Just to get, because when you're in a train,
you were flying when you had training.
Yeah.
What was the last time?
But even on...
Kimi Antonelli spilling the beans there to Charles Leclerc, who was kind of giving him all the compliments, and yeah, so we did this, and we did that, and we did this, and back at Maranello, okay, we're just going to note that one down, thank you very much.
I mean, they basically work it out, don't they, themselves anyway. But yeah, it's strange that they were running slightly different around this track. Normally there's one place that works.
Stefano Domenicali, the CEO of Formula One, come back into the cool-down room to say well done.
I think I did like 1 or 2 laps in the 34s. I was like, you're all right.
Yeah, you guys anyway.
Yeah.
And we'll leave them there. We'll see the drivers in a moment on the podium.
What an amazing crowd. Always is here at Suzuka. The Japanese fans, some of the best in the world. They really work hard on their outfits as well, don't they? Which is nice. So much support.
Yeah, so I've run into the T-Rex a couple of times this weekend. He's attacked me on both occasions, to be fair. Rexy, down below our commentary boxes. That's the Aston Martin Japanese fan, of which there are many Honda supporters, as you would expect here. There are kangaroos, they are Australian fans, kangaroos for Oscar. And what will happen is the fans in the main grandstand all stay in their seats for the next 3 or 4 hours now and watch a rerun of the race on the big screen.
Yeah, I remember when I won it back in 2011. Yeah. I came out and it was dark after debriefs and they're all there watching.
I'm waiting for you. Charles Leclerc then, 3rd place for him today. Still Ferrari wait for that Suzuka win. They haven't won here since 2004 with Michael Schumacher. It's his first podium here since 2022. Oscar Piastri is back on the podium, back racing, and he and Tom Stallard have actually had something to do this afternoon, which is great. And for McLaren, I think a real confidence-boosting race. They felt they were getting closer to Mercedes, maybe could have won it. But the safety car came at the right time for Kimi Antonelli, and his drive subsequently was never in doubt that second victory wasn't going his way. Antonelli on top of the podium for a second race running.
The first teenager to win multiple Grand Prix, the first teenager to lead a Formula One World Championship. He's 19 years old and 216 days as Princess Akiko, Her Imperial Highness, presents the trophy, a second Grand Prix Winners' Trophy to Kimi Antonelli. All smiles once again. The only thing wrong with being a teenager and winning here, Jensen Button, is you're not old enough to drink the champagne at the end.
So he hasn't got champagne. It's sparkling rose water, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Look at the bottles, there's no label on Kimi's at all. There you go. Legal drinking age is 20. Kimi Antonelli is not 20 until the 25th of August, and who knows where he'll be in the championship by then. But I wouldn't put it past him being right up there or still leading.
I do have a question though. Well, the other two have got champagne.
Yeah.
So they spray it in a minute, right?
Accidental damage doesn't count. As long as he keeps his mouth shut, we'll be fine on that one, to be fair.
Nose closed on.
Oscar Piastri, it's a smile, it's a rueful smile, and I think he feels he might have been able to win this race without the safety car coming out when it did. Charles Leclerc will think, right, it's a podium. I finished fourth here in the previous 3 years. At least I've got one better. I think Ferrari and McLaren have proved this weekend they're closer to Mercedes. By the time we come back in a month, who's to say they won't be closer still?
Yeah, exactly. Here they are. Here they are. What a lovely celebration.
Absolutely brilliant. He races for the first time this season. He finishes on the podium, Oscar Piastri. And Charles Leclerc on the podium for the second time this season. And for the second time in consecutive races, he's right at the top of the podium. He can't want to be able to drink the champagne. He can taste the champagne and he can taste success at the moment. Kimi Antonelli, what a couple of weeks it's been. He wins in Japan.
Just don't lick your lips, Kimi Antonelli. The irony is he's got more champagne on him from the other two bottles than if he'd had it in his own bottle. Congratulations to him, the second Grand Prix win, and crucially the first ever teenager to lead the World Championship. It was a race determined by the safety car, but taking nothing away from Kimi because he controlled the race. That free pit stop took him from 6th up to 1st, and then he pumped in fastest laps for fun.
That is exactly the definition of this race. He didn't exactly get the best start, but he didn't do too bad. Our next round, when we head back out, will be Miami.
A new era. Melbourne looking resplendent as ever. Lucky to start the season here. Here is the crescendo of noise. It's lights out. Wow! Charles Leclerc leads the Grand Prix.
Very nice, very nice. I like this car, I like this engine. You've also just won the first F1 race of the new era. It was incredible. It was a hell of a fight at the beginning.
Forza Italia, Kimi Antonelli for the first time in Formula One.
We did it.
He's too young. We should put him in a Mercedes. Here we go, Kimi. Victory.
I really wanted to bring Italy back on top, and we did today.
Welcome to Suzuka, the home of not only one of the greatest tracks in F1, but also of the Superfan.
The teenager from the Wolfpack proves the cup can win.
Let's go, man.
Lots of love, indeed. The 1st to the 3rd of May, we will be live for the Miami Grand Prix. It should be fun to see what happens there. Can Kimi Antonelli keep his lead in the overall championship? For more, let's take a listen to what's on in Britain.
Open men's final tonight at 7:30. That's between Yannick Sinner and Yuri Lepishkin. Oh my goodness, totally hashed that up, sorry. Boxing, and Caroline Dubois faces Terry Harper in a major lightweight world title unification fight at London's Olympia on April the 5th. And Ellie Scotney aims to become Britain's youngest undisputed champion, taking on Mexican Mayeli Flores in the postponed undisputed super bantamweight title fight also on April the 5th. A fabled course, a fabled blue jacket, and the defending champion everyone's hunting, Rory McIlroy. The Masters starts between the 9th and the 12th of April. That's live on Sky Sports Golf. Premier League in a massive game in the title race between Manchester City and Arsenal on April the 19th on Sky Sports Premier League.
Okay, so that is what's to come on Sky Sports. But to come on Travis Motorsports, we've got the High-Tech Oil Super Series, along with the Italian F4 getting underway, and a bit of coverage from Blendline TV as well. But that is it for the F1. For now, we'll be back in just over a month's time for the Miami Grand Prix. It should be fun, but can Kimi Antonelli keep his lead? We'll have to wait and find out. See you in a month. See you then. Bye-bye.